Dragon Ball Daily Gift Pack Chapter 181-200. 181. Find the Dragon King God Realm. The first request is to subscribe. Whether this woman, Layla, is dead or alive, it is naturally none of Su Yi's business. Now, he took out the time house and entered the state of cultivation. Soon, this day will be over like this. Last night, there were 4 women in one night. Fortunately, Su Yi's physical body was very strong, and he could fully support the 4 women's turn. The next morning, Su Yi got up early, but he promised the little girl yesterday to practice together today. But speaking of cultivation, to be honest, Su Yi is not very good at teaching little girls. After all, the relationship between the two is here. If you really want to teach hands-on, there will be no physical contact, which is naturally jealous of Su Yi. Fortunately, after the father and daughter met and practiced together, Su Yi dismissed the idea. Because the little girl Luli said she wanted to practice with Su Yi, but in fact she was just watching him practice from the side. In this regard, Su Yi was really helpless. As for the good practice, isn't it just staring at him in practice? Luli, aren't you going to practice? Why are you staring at me all the time? Su Yi stopped punching and looked at the little girl speechless. Because my father's handsomeness attracted me. The little girl replied very naturally. Hearing this, several big black question marks appeared on Su Yi's forehead. Was this girl sure that she didn't want to go to class, so she said she wanted to practice with herself? But there is no way, since everyone has promised this little girl and let him practice with her, then Su Yi will naturally not go back on her word. The next day, both father and daughter spent in the training room. Just the second day, the third day, the fourth day. A month passed like this, and Su Yi was relieved that the little girl did stare at him for the first few days and did not practice cultivation. After the 5th day, he was also led by him to start practicing. I have to say that the potential of the little girl is very terrifying. In less than a month, the combat power has directly reached the level of 0.5 Beijing. In this regard, Su Yi complained more than once. If you keep practicing, you little girl, I'm afraid it won't take long for you to catch up with me. To his words, the little girl responded more than once. Luli is Dad's sweet little padded jacket and will always give you warmth. Although Su Yi felt that the girl's answer was a bit out of tune, she was very happy to hear such words. On this day, Su Yi came to the training room as usual. Yesterday, the little girl said that she wanted to take a day off, so he was the only one today. After practicing for a long time, Su Yi is really not used to it, because as usual, the little girl must be watching him from the side and wipe his sweat from time to time. Not today, it really made him miss him a little. I don't have any training status today, so I'll just go to the Dragon Ball AF world to have a look. Su Yi waved his right hand, a time-space tunnel appeared, and then walked in. Dragon Ball AF World, Earth, Western Capital. Su Yi came to the house where Vegeta used to be, and was about to ring the doorbell when the young Trunks came out and was stunned when he saw Su Yi. Are you that gentleman? Opening the door, Trunks looked at Su Yi and asked in surprise. In this world, he only remembered that he had been in contact with Sun Wukong, Vegeta, Sun Wuxian and Xiaofeng. So seeing Trunks in this world know him, Su Yi was also a little surprised and smiled. If Vegeta mentioned me, then I should be the gentleman you mentioned. Hearing Su Yi's admission, Trunks showed surprise on his face, and then hurriedly invited him into the courtyard. I heard from my father that Mr. is very powerful. Also, if we guessed correctly, the Earth that was invaded last time was saved by Mr. The two walked all the way into the villa and sat down on the sofa in the living room, Trunks said. Su Yi smiled slightly and looked at the surrounding pattern. The pattern of this house is not much different from that of Bulma's house in the main time and space. After all, it is a parallel time and space, and there is nothing similar to this. Trunks poured Su Yi a glass of water, then sat down across from him, smiling and said, Sir, what are you doing at my house now? I want to know Goku's whereabouts. Suyi took a sip of water and said, Uncle Wukong left the earth many years ago, and I don't know where to go to practice. Trunks frowned, shook his head and sighed. Even my father really wants to find his whereabouts. Hearing this, Suyi raised his brows and was a little surprised. Could it be that Sun Wukong never came back from the Dragon King God realm during this period? The key is that he doesn't know the exact location of the Dragon King God realm, so he is the most embarrassed. So, what about Vegeta? Suyi shook his head and asked again. This is not the main time and space world. Who he wants to sense, as long as he uses the power of the law of the universe, he can easily sense that person's specific location. My dad also left the earth a few months ago, and he didn't know where to go to practice. Katakana middle dot flowers. Trunks shook his head again. Hearing this news, Suyi suddenly had an idea in his heart. That is, will the Time-Space Patrolman Goku and Vegeta in the Prison Star be the ones who turned over from the Dragon Ball GT world? However, as soon as the idea came out, he was quickly taken away. It's not that they haven't met before. Although both of them can transform into Super Saiyan 4, in terms of personality, it can be said that they are two people. So, naturally, it is impossible to be the same person. In that case, let's do it. Sun Wukong and Vegeta were not on Earth, so Suyi was naturally ready to leave. Sir, won't you sit any longer? When Trunks saw Suyi get up, he also got up and asked a question. No. Suyi smiled and shook his head, pointed his index finger and middle finger between his eyebrows, and then came directly to the Eastern Realm King God realm. The appearance of Suyi instantly caused the Eastern Realm King Shenshin to come with a look of horror on his face. Which god are you? The Eastern Realm King Shenshin came to Suyi, bowed respectfully, and asked. You can call me the Super Saiyan God. Suyi said lightly, the divine power in his body is not at the same level compared to the divine power in this Eastern Realm King Shenshin. Coupled with his fighting power, although he was restrained, he was still extremely terrifying, so that the Eastern Realm King Shenshin did not dare to look directly at him. Super Saiyan God. Hearing this name, Dongji Wang Shenshin's face showed shock. Although he had never heard of this character, he had no doubts. What's the matter with you coming to me? Shin asked respectfully. I want to know where is the Dragon King God realm where Sun Wukong is located. Suyi wanted to see if the Sun Wukong in this world could transform into Super Saiyan 5 now. Dragon King God Realm. Dongji Wang Shenshin blinked, then smiled bitterly, although I know about that place, but... You just have to tell me exactly where it is. Suyi said lightly. Okay. Shin nodded, and then told Suyi the exact location of the Dragon King God Realm. Call out. Suyi got the specific location and immediately teleported away from the Eastern Realm King God realm. This Super Saiyan God, what kind of terrifying existence is he? After Suyi left, the Eastern Realm King Shenshin stretched out his hand to wipe the sweat on his forehead, and whispered something tremblingly. 182. Encountered time and space turbulence, strayed into chaos. Suyi's current strength is enough to make most people fear him. If you think about it carefully, not counting his power to control the laws of the universe, his own strength is definitely enough to rank in the top 10 of the main time and space world. Of course, it is not ruled out that there are powerful figures hidden. In short, he can definitely be shot in the top of the 12 universes. Soon, Suyi rushed to the Dragon King God realm. What surprised him was that he came to this place, but learned that Sun Wukong had left a year ago. Where did Sun Wukong go? Suyi asked the owner of the Dragon King God realm. I don't know. This is an old dragon, hovering in the sky, shaking its head to Suyi. In this regard, Suyi naturally left the Dragon King God realm very helplessly. A time-space tunnel was opened by him, and he just stepped into it. Unexpectedly, unlike before, the time-space tunnel that was supposed to be very stable in 923, suddenly collapsed. System. What's going on? Suyi's face showed a look of shock. He had never encountered such a situation before. After shouting several times, he found that the system didn't answer at all. Boom! The tunnel collapsed completely, and Suyi fell directly from the tunnel. ... I don't know how long it took. Suyi woke up from the coma, and glanced around him blankly. It was pitch black and no fingers were seen, and there was no light at all. System, are you still there? Without being able to see around, Suyi naturally had no choice but to call out system in his heart. Host, the system is here. The system's sweet and pleasant voice rang in Suyi's mind, which made him heave a sigh of relief. Where is this? Is it another time-space turbulence? Suyi frowned and got up from the ground. Since he couldn't see the surroundings, he carefully groped around and walked slowly. The host will know soon enough. The sound of the system continued to come. Suyi frowned again. Her thoughts sank into her system mall space and exchanged for a light, then took it out and glanced around. What the hell? Where the hell is this? Suyi glanced at the surrounding environment, and several big black question marks suddenly appeared on his forehead. There was a vast whiteness around him, a piece of nothingness, as if he was in chaos, and there was nothing at all. Do not. Right in front of him, there is a very huge egg. Other than that, nothing else. Suyi walked around and found that he seemed to be floating on a piece of water. Every time he took a step, a circle of ripples opened under his feet, and he really felt like walking on water. Soon, he approached the giant egg. Suyi stared at it, and the colorless air currents were violently rushing towards the giant egg. System, what kind of egg is that? Also, what are these colorless airflows? Suyi asked. Host, that is the innate energy of chaos. And inside that giant egg is a terrifying existence that can open up the world. The system's voice rang in Suyi's mind, causing him to blink, and then his pupils tightened, as if thinking of something, and said in shock, in this egg. Is it Pengu? Yes, that's right, it is the great god Pengu in the legend of your past life. The system replied. Hiss. Suyi first took a sip of water, and then sucked in a breath of cold air. The whole person is now a little dazed. To be fair, he is not considered a top-level existence in the Dragon Ball world. When he came here, when Pengu opened up the world, it is not possible to encounter a big hand if he is not careful. That's not right. Pengu hasn't been born yet. After careful calculation, I am the first innate person to appear in the chaos. Suyi thought about it, and his eyes became brighter and brighter. That's right. In the entire chaos now, apart from this giant egg and the innate energy of chaos, he is the only one left. Pengu has not yet been conceived in the giant egg, and the 3,000 chaos demon gods have also not been conceived, so at this stage, he is the only creature. The system, with my physical strength, can I absorb the innate energy of chaos? Suyi's eyes shone brightly as he glanced at the innate chaotic energy hitting the giant egg, and asked a question in his heart. You must know that the chaotic innate chi is a very good thing, otherwise the giant egg that gave birth to Pengu would not be able to absorb these chaotic innate chi. Host, haven't you noticed any changes in yourself? The system's voice sounded in Suyi's mind, which made him stunned for a while. You open the panel and look at your data and you'll see. The system continues. Suyi came back to his senses and checked his character attribute panel. This thing has always existed, but when he was in Dragon Ball World before, there was nothing worth checking out for him. Now, when he opened, a character attribute panel popped up in front of him. Host, Suyi. Identity, Chaos Innate Saiyan Demon God. Boundary, None. Combat Strength, 1500 Beijing, Final Combat Strength. Soon after reading the row of character attribute panels, Suyi fell silent. Now it seems that he has become the 3001 new Chaos Demon God in addition to the 3000 demon gods. What is the most important thing? He doesn't have the powerful strength that Chaos Demon God should have, which is the most embarrassing thing. System: so, although I am a Chaos Demon God, in fact, my current combat power is completely relying on my Super Saiyan state to deal damage. After Suyi was silent for a while, he was speechless. If this is the case, then not to mention whether he can survive until he returns to the Dragon Ball world, it is a very big question whether he can survive when Pengu opens the sky. Yes, host. The system replied to Suyi's question 5.7, and when he complained in his heart, it reminded him, host, please don't forget, you are the man who owns the system. Hearing this, Suyi's eyes suddenly lit up. Yes. He is a man with a system. There's no time in chaos, so how do I get the daily pack? Immediately afterwards, Suyi thought of a very serious problem. This is naturally according to the time specified by the system, so you don't have to worry about this problem, the host. The sound of the system sounded, making Suyi a sigh of relief, and the whole person suddenly felt comfortable. Pengu was born very early. Then this period of time is definitely an opportunity for him to rise. In the early stage, he did not seek to obtain the Great Tao, and for the time being, he could at least have a means of saving his life under Pengu, then that would be the best. 183. The first package to come to the chaos period. System: then can I claim the daily gift pack now? Suyi, who had no worries, couldn't wait to ask at this time, if he came to the first daily gift bag in the chaos period and gave him very good things, then he would be much more confident in his future. All right, host. The system replied. Okay, then send it to my system package space. Oh, that's right. I came to the chaotic period, so the time flow rate of Dragon Ball world. Suyi suddenly remembered that he came to the Hongwang world from the Dragon Ball world, and asked again. Don't worry, host, the time of Dragon Ball world has stopped just like the last time you entered the ancient times of Dragon Ball world. The system replied. Okay, I see. Suyi exhaled heavily, a relieved smile on his face. Now he is in the chaotic period of the prehistoric world. Now, time is not counted in years, but in yuanwei. If the two worlds are in a 1-to-1 flow rate, then I'm afraid that when he returns to the Dragon Ball world, let's not talk about right and wrong. As far as 06 is whether the Dragon Ball world still exists, that is probably a question. Fortunately, Dragon Ball world paused time, and when he succeeded in his cultivation in the prehistoric world and returned, it can be said that he is the real overlord. Without thinking any more, Suyi sank into his own system package space, and a colorful gift bag was lying in the package space. In addition, he also saw a gift bag, which he remembered was left in the package space last time, and did not choose to open it. Would you like to try your luck with this gift package first? Suyi thought about it, but after thinking about it, he still shook his head and decided to open the 5-color gift bag he just got first. From the color point of view, this is undoubtedly a master-level gift package. Taking a look at the introduction of this gift package, sure enough, this is a master-level gift package. Master-level gift package. Open to get a weapon of the innate treasure level, fight the stars and move the big array, and the method of transforming the 3 clears in 1 gas. There are so many things, different from the master-level gift package in the Dragon Ball world. The master-level gift package in this prehistoric world is simply so rich that he feels that he is dreaming. I won't talk about the weapons of the innate treasure level. This method of transforming 1 gas into 3 clears is useless to him, but he can use it to preach in the future, which can be regarded as a great merit. As for the battle formation, he briefly glanced at the introduction. It can rebound attacks. The effect is not bad, at least it is not a useless thing. Most of the things in the back are some kind of spirit fruit or ordinary spirit treasures, weapons and armors of the acquired spirit treasure level. Open. Suyi directly chose to open this master-level gift package, and soon, a lot of things were piled up in his system package space. System, why didn't I see that weapon of my innate treasure? Suyi searched for a while, but didn't see the weapon of the innate treasure mentioned in the gift package, so he couldn't help asking the system in his heart. Host, this innately treasured weapon is to throw unwanted things from you, and then complete the processing by the system. There is a chance to become an innately treasured weapon. The system replied. Hearing this, Suyi was stunned for a while. Soon, he reacted, and feelings have to be plucked from him. He thought that the innate treasure in the gift package would be one of the many innate treasures in the prehistoric world. Now it seems that what he has is his own innate treasure. Let me think about it. Suyi thought about it, and at this moment, he looked down at his tail wrapped around his waist. His eyes lit up in vain. His follow-up super race god state no longer needs the tail to step up, so this tail is not much use, so just use it to turn it into an innate treasure exclusively for him. System, can I use my tail as my innate treasure? Suyi asked. Yes. The system replied. Okay, let my tail become my innate treasure. Suyi laughed. Host, please choose the type of weapon. Category. Suyi thought again, and after a while, his eyes suddenly lit up and he said, my tail is like an iron rod, so let's use the rod as the prototype. Received. Next, ask the host to name this innate treasure. The system continues. Let me think about. Suyi thought about it again. During this period, he thought of too many names, but they all felt that they were not suitable. In the end, he remembered Sun Wukong's wishful golden hoop stick in Journey to the West, and immediately said, let's call it a wishful stick. He can be regarded as a waste of name. Since he doesn't know what to choose, he will steal the weapon Rui golden hoop used by later generations of Sun Wukong to get a similar name. Although the name is a bit imitating the name of the Rui golden hoop, he knows that compared to these two weapons, there is a gap between one in the sky and the other in the ground. His wishful rod is naturally in the sky, and the wishful golden hoop rod of the later Sun Wukong is naturally in the ground. Next, Suyi naturally entered the state of cultivation. He doesn't have a practice method that belongs to his own practice, so he comprehends it on his own and begins to create his own practice method. A yuanwei passed, and he woke up from his realization. In addition to having some distressed daily gift packs, he was more excited. That's right, he created his own unique exercise, Soul Golden Body Judgment. Although this exercise has a lot of systematic help, it is more of his own creation. As the name suggests, this practice is actually a practice method of the soul and the body together. Before his physical body, he had reached the final stage of immortality and immortality. The immortality of his physical body is eternity. However, if the soul dies, then his body is useless if he doesn't die, and it can be said that only his corpse survives. And now, this exercise perfectly made up for his shortcomings. With a strong soul and an immortal body, he could reach a state, that is, one thought is eternal. As long as he has a thought, then he can exist in the world forever and achieve the real immortality and immortality. The soul of the soul is divided into 9 turns in total, but the last 2 turns only exist in the concept, and there is no real understanding. The realm of the previous 7 turns in the prehistoric world is compared to Jinxian, Deluo-Jinxian, Quasi-Saint, Saint, Harmony Realm, Heavenly Realm, and Tao Realm. Therefore, Suyi only needs to practice the first rank, then his strength will reach the level of Jinxian. He didn't know how much the fighting power of the Golden Immortal level was in the Dragon Ball world, but he understood that it should at least be stronger than his final state of the 3rd form of Super Saigon. Next, Suyi continued to enter the state of cultivation. After all, such a good opportunity can absorb the chaotic innate energy around him to make up for his own shortcomings. How could he miss it? Chaos does not know the passage of time, and wakes up several springs and autumns at a time. When Suyi woke up again, he had no idea how many yuanwei had passed. In short, his first turn, Soul Golden Body Judgment, has been successfully cultivated. He felt that the second turn was only one step away. 184. When Pengu was born, Suyi collects Hongmeng Purple Qi. The reason for waking up this time is because Suyi sensed that the great god Pengu was about to be born. After he opened up the world, this prehistoric world was about to appear. Therefore, you don't have to think about it, the prehistoric world after this will naturally be very exciting. Of course, there may also be various cause and effect, and various disputes will appear. At the same time, there will naturally be all kinds of big opportunities. Suyi slowly got up and flew towards the giant egg that gave birth to Pengu. Don't look at him at the golden immortal realm now, but he is the body of the chaos demon god, and his real combat power is naturally far from being as simple as it appears on the surface. The dome in front of him was many times bigger than the first time he saw it before. Suyi stared at it. The dome was constantly shaking, and the chaotic innate energy around it was also constantly impacting the dome. Flat. At this time, in the chaos where the 5 fingers were not visible, the chaotic innate energy rioted, which caused the 3,000 demon gods born before Pengu to wake up from their slumber in vain. Who is it? Who is disrupting our practice? One after another, the sky-shattering roar came from the chaos, and the owner of each voice was a terrifying existence. This is the 3,000 demon gods in the chaos. Because Pengu's absorption of the innate energy of chaos is too terrifying, they cannot continue to practice with the help of the innate energy of chaos. And this chaotic innate chi is no longer as gentle and easy to absorb practice as before, but it makes them instinctively feel a crisis, that is, the crisis that chaotic innate chi may soon disappear. Immediately, they all began to find their own avenues. While the 3,000 demon gods were still searching, the giant egg in front of Suyi swayed again and again, and it looked like it was about to explode, which made his face change, and he hurriedly flew away. Suyi looked again, only to see purple air currents floating and rolling in the sky where the giant egg was just now. He counted it, no more or no less, just 50. In fact, if there are some discerning people in the future generations here, they can definitely recognize that this is one after another of Hongmeng purple chi, which represents the foundation of enlightenment, and no one will not be moved. Hongmeng purple chi is transformed from the source of chaos, and contains the laws of the Tao. There are many mysteries in it. No matter what beings are, they can use this to achieve the fruit of the primordial Tao, making themselves immeasurable and immortal, and completely free between heaven and earth. With just one wisp, it can make mortal spirits without any Taoism and cultivation have unlimited longevity, and have an immortal body. Given time, it may not be impossible to cultivate successfully, so this Hongmeng purple chi is also called the foundation of the Tao. And now, above the sky where the dome was before, there were as many as 50, which was simply terrifying. System, that purple air flow. Is that the legendary Hongmeng purple air? Suyi raised his head and stared at the purple airflow that was still slowly floating in the air, with a strange brilliance flashing in his eyes, and asked. Yes. The system replied. Then, can I take these Hongmeng purple chi in my bag? Suyi's heart is hot. This is Hongmeng purple chi, the only sacred thing that has created saints in later generations. If he wins, wouldn't it be easy? Nonsense. How could he, Suyi, use external force to prove the Tao? Hongmeng Zichi is really useless to him, the chaotic innate demon god, but if he accepts disciples in the future. One of Lao Tzu's disciples gave a burst of purple chi and 50 saints under his seat. Wouldn't he want to become the greatest force in this prehistoric world? Thinking of this, Suyi was completely moved. Mine, these are mine. Cultivation and cultivation, no competition or grab, how can we continue to practice? So, Suyi flew up immediately and grabbed the purple chi of Hongmeng in the sky with his probing hand. Host, hurry up, Pengu is about to be born. The system urged. I see. Suyi responded by saying that he had already caught a stream of Hongmeng purple chi before he wanted to put it into his system package space. Unexpectedly, the giant egg underneath suddenly shook, and the eggshell on the plane of the giant egg slowly exploded some gaps. This is a sign that Panji Yu is about to be born. 1, 2, 3. 15 strands of Hongmeng purple chi were taken into the bag by Suyi, not because he didn't want to take all the Hongmeng purple chi, but because the giant egg under him was about to explode completely. Suyi was terrifying that the great god Pengu killed him as a demon who wanted to kill him, so he only took 15 charges of Hongmeng purple chi and slipped away. Boom! At this moment, Wen Suyi avoided a very long distance. The giant egg exploded suddenly, and streaks of golden light burst out. Immediately afterwards, a giant with a height of at least 10,000 meters appeared in the chaos with a giant axe in hand, a chaotic green lotus on his feet, and a jade plate on his head. This giant is Pengu. My name, Pengu. I want to open up the world. A voice appeared, floating in the chaos. Pengu here was just born. The 3,000 demon gods who were in the chaos heard the swaying sound, and then sensed his breath. All the demon gods were moved by it. Diaresis, we must stop this Pengu-cation. The only way to stop him is to kill him. Open up the world, then there is no chaos. How can the 3,000 chaotic innate demon gods who grew up relying on chaos survive at that time? Not to mention how to continue practicing. Therefore, they felt that only by killing Pengu and preventing Pengu from opening up the world would they have the chance to survive. The 3,000 chaotic innate demon gods correspond to the 3,000 avenues in the world, each with extraordinary natural aptitude, and has cultivated in the chaos of an unknown number of primordial associations. Killing Pengu is imperative. I already had an idea in my heart, and all the chaotic innate demon gods who were in the chaos immediately gathered to work together to stop Pengu from opening the sky. In a chaotic space far away, Suyi sensed it, shook his head and smiled. Zhao Hao, he knew that these 3,000 chaotic innate demon gods were simply dying. System, should I not be targeted by Pengu? Suyi felt the **** smell spreading from the chaos, and asked a question with some worry in his heart. No, host, you don't have any intention of killing Pengu, so naturally he won't have any intention of killing you. The system replied. So good. Suyi breathed a sigh of relief. In the future, he must have unlimited potential and extraordinary achievements. But now, he is a golden immortal level existence, and in this situation, he is undoubtedly not an ant-like character. Practice. Suyi didn't think about it anymore. Pengu let him kill as much as he wanted. He just waited for this guy to come to the prehistoric period as soon as possible, because that was the era of his rise. 185. Search for treasures from heaven and earth to find 3 immortal islands. Cultivation does not know the passage of time, and it will only be thousands of years after waking up. When Suyi woke up again from his practice, he didn't know how many yuan huas had passed. Today, he has reached the peak of the 3rd turn of Golden Soul of the Soul, and his realm has also reached the realm of quasi-sacred. Don't think how fast his cultivation speed is. His cultivation base is completely piled up by time. Of course, his background is naturally very terrifying. System, so many dollars will pass. My loss of the daily gift package is so distressing to me. Suyi got up. If he returned to the Dragon Ball world at this time, he would be absolutely invincible in the world, and no one could compare to him. However, every time he thought about the daily gift package he lost, it was really distressing. Host, there are gains and losses, don't worry too much. The system reminded me. Ha ha ha, of course I understand. Suyi nodded. Now he doesn't really care much about what he gets in the daily gift pack. Because he has reached his level, he has already stepped into a realm that does not require external objects. Slowly getting up, Suyi glanced around. This was the cave that he had built before the Yuan meeting. System 767, has Pengu incarnated everything? Suyi walked out of the cave. At this time, the outside of the cave was different from the previous one, and there was light. He guessed that Pengu had succeeded in opening up the world. Yes, the current period has entered the early stage of the flood era. After a while, the system replied. The era that belongs to me, Suyi, is coming soon. The corner of Suyi's mouth raised a beautiful arc, and he stepped out. The modern clothes on his body were transformed into ancient blue robes. His temperament was indescribably ethereal. At this time, it was the early days of the flood era, and many sacred things could be seen everywhere. How could Suyi miss these things? Wherever he went, nothing would grow, and he swept them all into the system package space. For him, the benefits that can be obtained are naturally obtained. Even if it's useless to him, it's a sacred thing. He doesn't need it, but it can still be traded with the system mall. Moreover, the system already had the functions of refining pills, and refining arrays a long time ago. No matter how bad it is, he can also classify these sacred things into these three major functions. That time, CCEJ may also be able to appear some good things. Suyi is not in a hurry, and is very slow to search for the genius and treasures in the great wilderness. For him, he has reached the realm of quasi-sage. As long as he does not encounter masters of the level of Hangjun and Luahu, it can be said that he will not fear of anyone. I don't know how many years have passed. Suyi has already scoured almost everything he can loot. At this time, in the space wrapped in his system, there are many acquired spiritual treasures. Even the innate spirit treasure, he also has several. For example, the 5 elements banner of innate spirit treasures and the Chenkanding were born in his hands. Don't get me wrong, the 2 innate spiritual treasures in his hands were born spontaneously after Pengu opened up the world, but appeared in Suyi's item refining space. Therefore, in this world, there are 2 innate spiritual treasures, the 5 elements flags, and 2 innate spiritual treasures, the Chenkan cauldron. In addition, all kinds of magical medicines lie in the wrapping space of the Suyi system, and there are many powerful magic circles in it. You can find a place to practice quietly and wait for the plot of the prehistoric era to start. Suyi went all the way to the east. He wanted to go overseas to find the 3 immortal islands of Penglai, Abbot and Yingzhou, and refine these 3 immortal islands into his future dojo. He didn't plan to give himself a name for walking in the great wilderness. The name Suyi, he believed, was enough to make all the great powers of the great wilderness in the future remember in his heart. Soon, Suyi, who was traveling all the way to the east, came to a sea area where he could not see the edge. Penglai, Abbot, and Yingzhou's 3 immortal islands are naturally impossible to be born like this. However, if I am a variable person, if I forcibly find it, it should be feasible. Suyi squinted his eyes and thought about it. He was very confident in his own strength, and at the same time, he was very confident in the perception ability of the system. System, can you help me search for the 3 immortal islands of Penglai, Abbot, and Yingzhou just above this sea area? Suyi asked in his heart. He is not a fool. He didn't use the system, a helper that defies the sky. Could it be that he went to find it by himself? In this boundless sea, I really want to find those 3 immortal islands. No doubt it is not like looking for a needle in a haystack, it is completely against the sky. Drip drip drip. The system that received Suyi's order began to investigate, and the beats sounded continuously. Suyi was not in a hurry. He observed the surrounding environment and found that in the early days of the prehistoric period, there were indeed opportunities everywhere. Now, he can see chaotic innate auras floating in the nearby air everywhere. This is a good thing. It can be used not only for refining weapons, but also for refining pills. Even, an ordinary mortal who did not have any cultivation roots in the later generations absorbed a gentle chaotic innate aura. Not only did he become immortal on the ground, but it was not impossible to step into the immortal path in the future. Host, keep walking straight ahead, and 3 immortal islands float side by side in the sea. After a while, the system's voice suddenly rang in Suyi's mind. I see. Suyi became excited and flew straight ahead. After a while, he looked down, and sure enough, in the thick fog, there were 3 immortal islands standing side by side. Those who didn't know it thought it was a big immortal island. Call out. Suyi flew down and came to the immortal island in the middle of the 3 immortal islands. As soon as I set foot on it, there are spirit grass and fairy flowers everywhere. In the future, how many people must break their heads to compete for this scene? However, Suyi turned his eyes away with just a glance. This immortal island is about to belong to him. Is he afraid that there will be no such spirit grass and fairy flowers? This is Penglai Island, the most famous island among the 3 immortal islands. Suyi walked around, listening to the system in his mind, introducing him to the immortal island where he was currently. After a while, Suyi came to the most central area of Penglai Immortal Island. System, does this Penglai Shandao have a core? If I want to take Penglai Shandao as my own, I must refine the core of Penglai Shandao. Suyi closed his eyes and sensed it, and asked in his heart. That's right. At this time, the central area of Penglai Immortal Island is its core. The system replied. I see. Suyi nodded and stepped on the spirit grass and fairy flowers into a small dark hole. The core of the Penglai Immortal Island is in this dark little hole. 186. 2 broad avenues are placed in front of Suyi. Refining the core of Penglai Immortal Island is naturally an easy task for Suyi, who is already in the quasi-saint realm. It didn't take long to refine Penglai Immortal Island successfully. Immediately afterwards, Suyi came to the 2 immortal islands of Abbot and Yingzhou, and concocted and refined the core things of these 2 immortal islands according to law. At this point, the 3 immortal islands have become Suyi's things. It took several decades for Suyi to combine the 3 immortal islands into one, becoming a brand new island, which also became Suyi's dojo. I'm a waste of naming, so if the name of the 3 immortal islands is combined into one, let's take the name of one of the immortal islands. This immortal island is still called Peng Laixian Island. With a smile, Suyi took out the Duzhuanxingxingji that he had obtained from the gift bag before, and then enveloped the entire Penglai Immortal Island in it. Since then, Suyi has opened up a modern cave house and started to retreat. In the prehistoric times, almost 1,000,000 years have passed since Pengu created the world in a blink of an eye, and there are creatures appearing in the world one after another. The flood at this time was much more lively when he and Suyi first went out of the customs and came to the flood. At least, there are many living beings in the same life, although there are many disputes, but there is finally a lot of anger. It is worth mentioning that the fierce beasts are rampant in the flood, which makes it very difficult for many newly born creatures to survive. Don't look at these wild beasts. Most of them are beasts who have not opened their intelligence, but after all, they are uniquely blessed and are among the first beasts born after the opening of the sky, so their strength is naturally very terrifying. Therefore, it can be said that if these fierce beasts have opened their spiritual wisdom, then they will definitely be the protagonists of this era. Perhaps in the future, it will not be the 3 clans of the dragon, the phoenix, and the unicorn fighting for hegemony, let alone the 2 clans of the lich. How to preach. On this day, on Penglai Immortal Island, Suyi woke up from the retreat. After millions of years, even though he is still very young, at this moment there is a vicissitudes on his face, and it is not difficult to see that his age is not as simple as it seems on the surface. Now, after exiting the customs, his face still showed confusion. To be honest, he wasn't quite sure what to do next. He has 15 primordial purple chi, but he does not want to merge with the primordial purple chi to advance to the realm of a saint. Don't look at the saints who merged with the purple energy of Hongmeng to advance to the realm of saints, and they mixed very well in the world of the wild. Therefore, even though the saint who has been promoted to become a sage who merged with Hongmeng purple chi is immortal, it is impossible to break free from the shackles of the heavens, or to transcend the heavens, and it is even more impossible to reach the realm of the Tao. It's the same sentence. If you don't have dreams, what's the difference with salted fish? Now that he has come to the prehistoric world, he will either be a salted fish and play with an ordinary saint, or it will shine brightly and be the strongest person in this world. System, how do you think it's better for me to prove the Tao? Suyi asked the system, although he knew that the system should not be able to give him good advice, but he still wanted to get some inspiration. Host, the path you are currently practicing is spiritual and physical fellow practitioners. Then, you may be able to try to prove both. The system pondered for a while and then reminded. Hearing the system's words, Suyi's eyes lit up in vain. This system is not just a system. In his eyes, now he is a fellow Taoist who can discuss Taoism. Immediately, Su Yi went back to his cave and sat down, and then began to communicate with the system. The first way, that is the way of the flesh, is similar to the way of power that Pengu has proved. The second way is the Tao of divine soul. The divine soul is immortal and immortal. One thought, and eternity. He felt that the avenues of the physical body and the avenues of the soul could be slowly tempered, and eventually the barrier would be broken, and he would be promoted to the state of a saint on his own. This kind of saint who is not promoted by external force is called the saint of the avenue. There is another word to describe it: the road can be expected. After communicating with the system a lot, Su Yi gained a lot of insights. Now he has made it clear that there are two broad avenues for his future: one is the avenue of the flesh, and the other is the avenue of the soul. With two additions, after he becomes a saint of the avenue, the effect is definitely not the effect of 1 + 1 = 2. The great road can be expected. The great road can be expected. Su Yi got up and strode out of the cave, with a happy look on his face. He knows that his future is no longer limited to the simple realm of the Tao, and maybe he can break through himself and complete an unprecedented realm. After all, his golden soul of the soul has rank 9. The 7th turn is the realm of the great Tao. After waiting for the follow-up exercises to be perfected, where will the 8th turn and even the 9th turn reach? Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot flowers katakana middle dot. Unimaginable, unimaginable. Dot dot dot. Dot dot dot. After clarifying her own follow-up path, Su Yi was naturally no longer confused, left Penglai Immortal Island, and came to the great wilderness world to swim. With the systematic notification, he knew that the prehistoric world had begun to show signs of chaos. The wild beasts appeared, and the 3 clans of dragon, phoenix and unicorn were also present. In this era, turmoil will arise, and great opportunities and great disasters will coexist at the same time. However, these are no big problems for Su Yi. Today, he stands at the top level of the prehistoric world. In the quasi-holy realm, if the saints do not go out, who will compete with them? This time, he just wanted to find out which period it was. Now that he has understood, he is naturally ready to go back and try to communicate with his avenues and try to break through to the realm of the saints of the avenues. 0, 0. However, just as he was about to return home, a ferocious beast flew from afar, with a ferocious face and extremely terrifying face. Logically speaking, most of the ferocious beasts in the wild are some beasts without intelligence, and their physical body is even more powerful if they have terrifying strength. But today, the fierce beast that Su Yi saw had a gleam of light in his eyes, and looked at him with fear. Weird. What kind of beast is this? Su Yi suddenly became interested, because ordinary beasts naturally do not understand fear, and they naturally rush forward to fight when they encounter living beings. But now this fierce beast did not rush up the mountain violently, but looked at him with great vigilance and fear, knowing that this guy in front of him was not easy to provoke. This was enough to give Su Yegao a glance. Host, this is the Scarlet Flame Golden Beast, one of the many ferocious beasts in the great wilderness. The system's explanation slowly sounded in Su Yi's mind. This is a beast that unlocks intelligence, and its future achievements are limitless. Su Yi immediately moved his mind and prepared to surrender this fierce beast to use it as his mount. As if feeling Su Yi's thoughts, the red-flamed golden beast's eyes flickered for a moment, and then his limbs were set on fire, and he turned around and quickly escaped from here. Escape. Impossible. Su Yi lightly smiled and shook his head, reached out and grabbed it, only to see a big hand transformed into the sky, directly pressing down on the fleeing red flame golden beast. Boom. The crimson flame golden beast, which had opened its spiritual wisdom, was imprisoned on the ground by the big hand, and the dust swept away. 187. Mount Kai Yan Jin Ni Beast, second more subscription. Su Yi flew over and came to the scarlet flame golden beast that was suppressed by his phantom hand, with a smile on his face, his hands behind his back, and his blue robe swayed with the breeze. Be my mount for 100 years. When you want to leave, just leave. Su Yi smiled lightly. He doesn't like to force others, even though he is very hypocritically forcing this wild beast, but he feels that this is actually a big opportunity for this beast. You must know that he has 15 primordial purple chi in his hands. If he wants to create a saint-level existence, it is simply an easy task. If this red flame golden beast does its job well, then Su Yi will not let it have a chance to be sanctified. So, in fact, in general, this is indeed a big opportunity for this beast. This red-flamed golden beast was unable to speak. It lay on the ground with 733, and lowered its head a little bit, as if responding to Su Yi. Would you like to? Su Yi asked again, nod your head if you want. The voice fell, and the red-flamed golden beast, who was suppressed by the big hand and lay on the ground, nodded. Good. Su Yi nodded and laughed, raised his hand and wiped off the big hand, and then the red-flamed golden beast slowly got up and came to lie down in front of Su Yi. In this regard, Su Yi laughed loudly, and then directly took out many sacred objects from the system package space. Most of the ferocious beasts in the prehistoric wilderness are things that contain chaotic aura, so they will choose to eat as food. Therefore, even if it is a spirit treasure or something, this red-flamed golden beast can choose to eat. Moreover, this is a very perfect food for it, which can make it continue to improve. Just like now, after swallowing many things that Su Yi gave, this red-flamed golden beast has grown directly from a mysterious beast to the realm of golden immortals. Moreover, it is not only the simple realm of Jinxian, it should be regarded as the realm of the peak of Jinxian at this moment. It has only been so long, and it has grown to this stage. The first is naturally Su Yi's generosity, rewarding so many good things. The second nature is that this wild beast who has opened up his intelligence has indeed obtained some great opportunities before this, and the growth rate is very huge. It seems that maybe in the future I will have a saint-level mount. Su Yi looked at the red flame golden beast who was rubbing his head against the leg of his trousers, and smiled secretly in his heart. A saint-level mount, just thinking about it, it's a very bee-like thing. After all, in this prehistoric world, ordinary saints are already considered the top combat power. And he, a man with a saint-level mount, if this shocking news spread out at that time, how many people would have been shocked? Without thinking any more, Su Yi waved his right hand, and a set of cushions made of animal skin appeared on the back of Qian Jinni beast, and then he sat on it. Master, where are you going now? When Su Yi sat on the back of the red flame golden beast, a young boy's voice suddenly appeared in his mind. The technique of induction was suddenly stunned. You take me for a while in the prehistoric world. Su Yi said lightly. Call out. As soon as Su Yi's words fell, the red-flamed golden beast rose into the sky and flew to the sky in an instant. Su Yi glanced at the ground, sat on the back of the mount, and stared indifferently ahead. With his current strength, the saint can't go out and run rampant. Therefore, he has the courage to travel around in the prehistoric world. The flying speed of the red-flamed golden beast is not unpleasant, and soon, it flew to the center of the prehistoric world. If Su Yi remembers correctly, there is a Bujo mountain in the very center of the prehistoric world. The current Bujo mountain has naturally not been knocked down by the later Gonggong, and now this mountain is still regarded as a supreme sacred mountain in the prehistoric world. Not to mention, this mountain is the backbone of Penghu. Su Yi has no interest in this sacred mountain. In contrast, he still needs his 3 immortal islands to combine into one Penglai immortal island. Master, there is a barbarian area ahead, and there are powerful wild beasts rampant, At this time, the speed of the red flame golden beast under Su Yi's seat suddenly slowed down. Hearing the sound transmission of the red flame golden beast, Su Yi shook his head and smiled, but he didn't care much. It doesn't matter, you can go. If any beast with no eyes dares to shoot at me, it just so happens that my mouth is about to fade away from the smell of birds over the years. Su Yi said. As ordered. The red flame golden beast received the order, and its speed increased again, and in the blink of an eye, it reached a barren place. Suyi sat on the back of the red flame golden beast and glanced around indifferently. There is no light in this barren land, and most of them are pitch black. But soon, green eyes appeared all around. If this scene was replaced by any master at the level of Jinxian, I am afraid that the heart would tremble. However, from Suyi's point of view, he just smiled faintly. Roar. A roar of beasts came from the darkness, and then it seemed to explode the animal nature of these beasts in the darkness, and another roar of beasts came. Presumptuous. Suyi's brows narrowed, his eyes widened, and each of his eyes gave birth to a coquettish flame. Puff. The two coquettish flames separated from his eyes, merged and gradually turned into a blood-red lotus flower, and then Suyi spit out a soft, go. Boom. This blood-red lotus flower suddenly grew to 100 feet in size, and then ran towards the darkness. Roar. In an instant, the painful roar of the beast came from the darkness, and the sound disappeared after a while. Humanized fear appeared in the eyes of the red-flamed golden beast under Suyi's seat. It knew that if it didn't know the good and the bad before, then it was probably the end that was waiting for it. Suyi jumped off the back of Kai Yan Jin Ni Beast. With 3.5 hands behind his back, his eyes could easily see through the darkness, and found that there was no other than a group of fierce beasts in this barren place. Strange, I did sense that there are some treasures in this place just now. Suyi's brows furrowed, and he took a few steps forward. Suddenly a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Drink. As soon as Suyi stepped on his feet, the entire ground instantly shattered. Call out. A dark shadow rose from the ground to the sky, and it seemed that it was preparing to escape from this place. If you run away, wouldn't my years of practice have gone to pigs? Suyi smiled lightly, and grabbed a hand against the pitch-black sky. Puff. The black shadow rising from the ground was caught by him and pinched in his hand. 188. Ginseng fruit trees enter Penglai. The third request is for subscription. A doll-like elf was grabbed by Suyi. This is one of the top 10 spiritual roots in the Great Desolation, Sao Huan Dan, also called ginseng fruit. Of course, this little guy caught by Suyi is naturally the elf of the ginseng fruit tree. My luck is really against the sky. Suyi looked at the spirit of the ginseng fruit tree with a smile on his face. He was thinking before, as a man who will definitely win the Great Pyramid in the future, how can there be no precious things in the dojo? Now the appearance of the ginseng fruit tree spirit has perfectly solved the problem for him. Quite a drowsiness came, and a pillow was brought up. Don't eat me, don't eat me, don't eat me. The ginseng fruit tree elf was grabbed by Suyi, and the little guy struggled, but how could he break free from Suyi's hand with its strength? Don't worry, I won't eat you. Suyi had no interest in eating this little guy, so he stretched out a finger and touched the little guy's eyebrows, placing a series of restrictions on it. These restrictions can be regarded as imprisoning it, but it can also be regarded as protecting it. I have a field, I need Lingen to sit in the town, I just met you, 22 you and I are also fate. Suyi returned to Qian Jin Ni Beast and sat down on his back. The ginseng fruit tree spirit with a downcast look on his opponent smiled and said, I have a purple qi in my hand, if you are obedient, it is not impossible that I can give it to you in the future. Make you enlightened. Hongmeng purple qi. Hearing Suyi's words, the whole body of the ginseng fruit tree elf suddenly exuded green brilliance. Just smelling it, Suyi felt a sense of relief all over his body. Although it was impossible to feel exhausted when he reached his realm, at this moment, he suddenly felt more relaxed than usual. Yes. Suyi stretched out his hand and patted Kai Yanjin Ni Beast's back. The latter understood, and then rose into the sky, with real fires under his limbs and feet, looking majestic. Don't lie to me. The ginseng fruit tree elf belongs to the kind that has just been born. At this time, the mind is not yet complete. Compared with the human beings of later generations, it is almost a 3-year-old child. Don't worry. Suyi smiled slightly. Say whatever you want. As long as this ginseng fruit tree elf diligently takes care of him, he will definitely become enlightened in the future. Good. The ginseng fruit tree elf has no other choice. In the face of absolute strength, it has to agree if it does not agree, not to mention that Suyi's attitude is actually very kind. Immediately, it responded decisively. The Qian golden nibbeast flew very fast, and it didn't take long for it to return to the Penglai Immortal Island in the Eastern Sea area. At this time, this Penglai Immortal Island is completely like a fairyland on Earth, with birds singing and flowers fragrant, and various buildings with modern characteristics. Suyi felt that if a modern person came at this time, he would definitely not think that he was in a prehistoric world, but would think that this was just a tourist attraction. Qian, you can find a place to hang out. Kai Yan is naturally Suyi's mount, Kai Yan Jin Ni Beast, and it was said that he was a nameless man, so he casually gave his mount such a simple name. As ordered. Kai Yan Jin Ni Beast came over through voice transmission, and then respectfully retreated. Suyi tilted his head and set his eyes on the ginseng fruit tree elf sitting on his shoulder, stretched out his fingers, and pointed his index finger and middle finger between his eyebrows, and he teleported to a small backyard. Go on, this is where you will be rooted from now on. Suyi pointed to a pile of divine soil in a fence in the center of the courtyard, smiling. Call out. The ginseng fruit tree elf dodged and landed in the divine soil with a green light. Base. A few seconds after it fell into the divine soil, a towering tree appeared in the courtyard. Hey, smaller, smaller. Suyi raised his head and glanced at it. The height of the ginseng fruit tree in front of him was invisible. If it remained so high in the future, how would the ginseng fruit be picked in the future? Follow your orders, Your Honor. The immature voice of the ginseng fruit tree elf came, and this sound made Suyi blink, and suddenly laughed, thinking that this title sounds pretty good. Swish swish. I saw that the ginseng fruit tree slowly shrunk, and finally it was the same size as a normal tree. Suyi looked at the ginseng fruit tree, nodded secretly, and a message suddenly appeared in her heart, which was a prompt from the system. A ginseng fruit tree blooms every 3,000 years, bears fruit every 3,000 years, ripens after another 3,000 years, and eats only 10,000 years after its short head. In 10,000 years, it only bears 30 fruits, and the fruit looks like a child who has not yet completed 3 dynasties. Similar, complete with limbs and facial features. 30 ginseng fruits in 10,000 years. When Suyi heard the introduction, she rubbed her smooth chin with her hand and thought. When he was in retreat, he naturally didn't have time to pick the ginseng fruit, so naturally he needed to guard the ginseng orchard. Moreover, this guard boy naturally still has to have self-discipline. Otherwise, when he retreats, let alone eat all his fruits, if he steals his ginseng fruit tree, that is the most important thing. System, is there any robot guarding the orchard in the system mall space? Suyi asked. No. The system responded quickly. In this regard, Suyi is naturally a little uncomfortable. After all, the system produced, not to say that they are all high-quality products, but at least it won't bother him, that's for sure. 687 inches okay, then I'll find a time to see if I can train 2 boys to guard the orchard for me. Suyi yawned. He was thinking that Bulma from the Dragon Ball world and the others would come with him to this prehistoric world, how wonderful it would be. Whether he could return to the Dragon Ball world anytime, anywhere, he not only asked the system 1,000 times, but the answer he got was naturally impossible. Suyi is naturally very lost, but the only good thing is that time in Dragon Ball world is still. When he returned, nothing had changed. After walking out of the ginseng orchard, Suyi flew towards his cave. Unexpectedly, just before he flew a few steps, the entire Penglai Immortal Island suddenly shook and shook. Suyi's eyes narrowed suddenly. He sensed that there were creatures in the outside world who noticed Penglai Immortal Island and were now attacking the outermost protective formation. Master, let Kai Yan take action to slaughter these ants-like beings. At this time, Kai Yan Jin Ni Beast suddenly flew over, bowed respectfully at Suyi's feet, and said with a sound transmission. Precise. Su Yi nodded indifferently. Just now, he realized that the creatures in the outside world who attacked the outer protection of his immortal island were just some shrimp soldiers and crab generals. With the strength of Kai Yan, it is absolutely possible to easily kill these scum-like existences. Therefore, he naturally does not have any worries. 189. The body is sanctified, and the small world within the body gives birth to life. If the ginseng fruit tree is not obtained, Su Yi will naturally continue to temper his body and soul in the next days. Now that the ginseng fruit tree has been obtained, there will be 30 fruits in 10,000 years. His retreat is not only for tens of thousands of years, but even for hundreds of thousands of years. At that time, when he woke up again, he hadn't eaten a single fruit for so many years. Wasn't he going to explode his mind at that time? Soon, Su Yi returned to his cave. He was going to create a formation to protect the ginseng fruit tree. By the way, did he think he needed to get some fertilizer for the ginseng fruit tree? However, when he was just about to get a formation, the entire Penglai Immortal Island shook again. Does this have to be a big death? Su Yi's brows furrowed. Originally, he thought that Kai Yan had dealt with the first batch, so there should be no second batch of creatures arriving in a short period of time. As a result, the slap in the face came so quickly, which made him a little unhappy. Call out. Immediately, Su Yi teleported directly out of Penglai Immortal Island. At this time, outside Penglai Immortal Island, Kai Yan is in the middle of a fierce battle with an unknown creature at the level of a golden immortal. As for the main entrance of Penglai Immortal Island, a large group of non-sea creatures are using spells to attack the formation. Su Yi saw all this in his eyes, and remembered that when the ginseng fruit tree elf first transformed into its original form, I am afraid that it was the culprit that attracted these guys. In the face of these ant-like creatures, Su Yi just stretched out one hand and slowly pressed it down, only to see that this group of creatures were instantly killed. He doesn't care what kind of powerful race there are in these creatures. If he dares to have ideas about his things, then he has to prepare for the idea of being slaughtered. Qian, resolve the battle as soon as possible. Su Yi yawned and suddenly felt a little tired. Thinking about it carefully, he really didn't know how many yuan would not have slept. Yes, master. Hearing Su Yi's instructions, the Qian Jinni beast, who was fighting fiercely at the side, roared angrily, and then his body swelled up, swallowing the powerful creature that was fighting him. Say as soon as possible, and indeed as soon as possible. The realm of Kai Yan Jinni beast is at the peak of Jin Xian, and the creature that fights with it is only an existence that has initially stepped into the level of Jin Xian. The two are fighting, and the latter is naturally not Kai Yan's opponent. One person and one beast returned to Penglai Immortal Island. Su Yi went back to the cave, took out a lot of materials from the system package space and threw them directly into the refining space. His mother, it seems that I am too kind. The formations on the periphery should also be killed, and see who dares to attack my Penglai Immortal Island. A cold look flashed in Su Yi's eyes. It was necessary for him to show his prowess, so that this prehistoric world would know that there was a character like him. Because he has already had a hunch, if he retreats again, then his physical body will be able to be sanctified. At that time, the power of the physical body alone will be at the level of a saint of the great Tao. With a punch, a master of the quasi-sage level will be killed on the spot. Soon, a new killing formation came out of the refining space in the system. As soon as the quasi-sage touched this killing formation, he was instantly killed in minutes. Call out. Su Yi's figure flashed, came to the high sky outside Penglai Shandao, grabbed the bottom, cleared the previous gentle formation, and then covered this killing formation on the Shandao plain. After doing this, Su Yi returned to his cave again and began to practice. It's a pity that the time house is temporarily unavailable, otherwise it would be so cool that you can't breathe. Looking inside, Su Yi found that a small world in his body had begun to grow all things. However, this has not yet reached the point where life appears. This small world had already appeared before the thousands of yuan meetings. At the beginning, Suyi let it develop independently. This kind of thing could not be interfered with by force. After all, it was a small world inside his body. He pondered that when his fleshly body was sanctified, then there should be all kinds of genius treasures and creatures born in the early days of the world in this small world. Without thinking any more, Suyi sank into his thoughts and began to practice. Cultivation does not know the passage of time, and when Suyi wakes up from his practice, there are already stars in his eyes. Terribly strong. He felt his own strength, and now he is close to the brink of sanctification of the flesh. Step. He only needs to take a step, then he can become a saint of the great Tao who has been sanctified in the flesh. Is this world sanctified? Suyi's eyes narrowed, hesitant. He was thinking, it is better to enter the small world in his body to be sanctified, and by the way, spread the opportunity of sanctification in his small world. As soon as he said it, Suyi's figure disappeared directly into the small world inside his body. Don't look at the others, not here, in fact he is still in the cave. However, when he entered the small world in his body, the small world turned into a particle hidden in the air. People with weak strength and weak senses absolutely do not know that there is a small world here. At this time, Suyi's body was in the small world. This is not a chaotic world, but a new world. If he opened up a small world in his body after he became a saint of the great Tao, it may be that a chaotic world will be born. However, it is not a big problem. A new world is enough for him for now. Sanctification of the flesh is just one step away. At this moment, it was Suyi's heart that inexplicably calmed down. Diaresis fleshly body thunder robbery fall. Suyi looked up at the sky and pinched the magic in his hand. At this moment, his body suddenly soared, not 10,000 feet, but 1,000,000 feet. Boom. Flesh body thunder tribulation. This is a thunder tribulation that specifically tempers the flesh body. Note, this is not the thunder calamity laid down by the thunder goddess and the lightning mother in later generations, but the thunder calamity that really comes from the heaven. Heaven is everywhere, don't think that there is no such thing in Suyi's small world. The thunder tribulation is terrifying, but Suyi is not afraid. Boom. One after another thunder blasted down, and in the thunder calamity that others could not escape, to Suyi's place, it was just a tonic to temper and nurture oneself. One after another thunderstorm fell, and I don't know how long it took. Manuo's Suyi only felt that his body did not know how many times it was destroyed, healed, destroyed, and healed again. In the end, his body had already exuded bursts of fragrance. It's done. Suyi's eyes brightened, looking up at the sky, the sun and the moon were in the sky, the stars were dotted, and the whole small world began to roll over, and great changes were taking place. At the same time, the first creature appeared in this small world. Suyi just glanced at the firstborn creature. It was a willow tree, and its whole body was green and transparent. At first glance, it was not ordinary. Not bad good. Suyi nodded and smiled, exiting this small world. For him, in the follow-up, as long as this small world develops independently, he can push the development behind the scenes from time to time. The figure appeared in the cave again. Suyi asked about his retreat time. No more, no less, exactly 9,999 years. So to say, in one more year, the ginseng fruit will be ripe. 190. The three powerhouses of the dragon, phoenix and unicorn are coming. Suyi walked under the ginseng fruit tree. Before she knew it, so long had passed. Looking at the green fruits on the tree, Suyi was also looking forward to it. This is a year when the fruit is ripe, and it must be an eventful one. Suyi sat under the tree and looked at his Penglai immortal island, which was also his own chassis. The red-flamed golden beast was also used to the life here, laying lazily on the side and sleeping. Suddenly, Suyi looked up at the sky, a powerful energy spread, and disasters do not come singly. This powerful force is not a single force, but three kinds of forces. Roar. Boo. Boom. The three energies of golden yellow, fiery red, and dark green collided with each other, and the barrier that Suyi arranged shook to the verge of being broken. What's going on here? Where's the guy from? When he had doubts in his heart, the scarlet flame golden beast stood beside Suyi. It seems to be the aura of three ancient wild beasts. It's very tricky. The red-flamed golden beast could feel the terrifying aura of the fierce beast soaring into the sky, and he almost felt trembling. Suyi smiled slightly. Interesting. It happened to be this year. Blink of an eye, Suyi arrived at the periphery of his enchantment and consolidated his enchantment. The sky is high, the clouds are dense, the thunder and lightning are interspersed, and a golden light flashes, with golden scales on it. There is also a fiery red-winged foot waving dozens of feet in the sky, and a green four-footed hoof that keeps stamping on the world. This is the golden dragon, the fire phoenix, the unicorn. Suyi suddenly remembered that in the early days of the creation of the world, the dragon clan, the phoenix clan, and the unicorn clan would rise up. Then, in order to fight for the baby, I don't know what they found. If they were to fight like this, the heaven and the earth were trembling, and they were very uneasy. A purple light group kept changing in front of the three monsters, as if they were changing owners. Interesting. Since you're grabbing the baby at my door, this baby is mine. Suyi rushed out quickly, took out his wishful stick, and hit Qilin's head with a stick. Boom. There was a loud bang, and the dark clouds were shaken and rolled 3 times. Roar. The unicorn wailed, turned into a green meteor and fell to the ground, smashing a large pit of thousands of meters. Suyi grabbed the purple light in his hand, but couldn't see what it was. Was it just a bunch of purple light? However, there is a reason why this group of purple rays of light can attract the 3 major wild beasts to madly fight to the death. Suyi held the purple light ball and looked at the golden dragon and the fire phoenix. Hey, look at me so fiercely, you are chattering in front of my house, and you must not leave me some tolls. Roar. Boo. Jinlong's eyes were full of golden light, and a roar turned into a golden lightning bolt and rushed towards Suyi. Suyi moved his neck and stood in front of the Rui stick. Like a bull, the golden dragon slammed into it. Suyi smiled slightly, and the fire phoenix behind him rushed down with a flame like a punishment from heaven. Suyi jumped down, holding the Rui stick in his hand, and the bottom of the stick hit Jinlong's chin. Bump. The golden dragon rushed directly to the sky and collided with the fire phoenix. In an instant, the golden light was brilliant and the flames splashed everywhere. Suyi held the purple light group and ignored these guys at all. After looking at it for a long time, he didn't see what the purple light group was. Bump. The purple light ball in Suyi's hand suddenly made the sound of his heart beating. This is alive. Suyi looked at this guy in disbelief. This light group is actually alive. What will be alive inside? The unicorn on the ground, stepping on the iron hoof, made a sensation in the world, and came directly to Suyi. Suyi smiled. I gave you a stick just now, and you're still not satisfied, are you? Suyi put the purple light ball in the space that he carried. Seeing that the treasure disappeared like this, Jinlong and Huafeng also rushed up angrily. Suyi stood in the middle, CCCD, and looked at the 3 big guys. I'm thinking of getting some gatekeepers, and I think you'll be fine. Just show me the gate, ah. Suyi waved his stick in high spirits. Bang bang bang. The golden dragon, the fire phoenix, and the unicorn were brought down by a stick. Boom boom boom. 3,000-meter pits just appeared. Suyi smiled slightly. It's been a long time since he came out. As soon as he came out, he was such a bad guy. It happened that his island needed a few gatekeepers, so it was just right for these 3 guys to look after the gate. Golden Dragon, Fire Phoenix. Qilin exchanged glances secretly. Now is not the time to fight in the nest. Being suppressed by a human race guy, wouldn't it be a loss of face to go back? Boom boom boom. The golden light energy flew towards Suyi, and Suyi hurriedly avoided it. Hey, you big golden bug, attack me when I'm not paying attention. Boom boom boom. The flames of fire charged directly at Su Yi. Su Yi quickly turned 2 somersaults, and his hair was burned a little. It's dangerous, it's dangerous. You almost burned it into a bald man. Watch Lao Su pluck your hair out. With an angry shout, Su Yi wanted to rush over and pluck out the phoenix's hair. Boom boom boom. An emerald green light rushed over, which was emitted by the unicorn. Su Yi rushed too hard, and was beaten in the face before he could stop his feet. Puff. Su Yi vomited a mouthful of blood and was beaten hard. It really hurt. Su Yi took 100 steps back and looked at the 3 big guys. Before, he took advantage of the 3 guys fighting, but now the 3 guys see that his threat is the greatest. They exchanged good looks in secret, and the 3 had to get rid of Su Yi first. Interesting, the 3 beasts also want to challenge me, even if you are the king of the monster world, but you have not reached the realm of saints, you are not qualified to challenge me. Su Yi moved his neck, playing with Ruyi sticks on his hands. Come on. Jinlong rushed over first, followed by Huafeng, followed by Qilin. A bunch of scumbags, come on. The momentum of the 3 guys is indeed not weak, but Su Yi is not without a way to fight. System, how can these 3 guys be tamed by me? There is nothing that can tame vicious beasts. The system did not return to Su Yi, and it seemed that there was no other way. The speed of a golden dragon rushed over, and Su Yi turned to avoid it. Huafeng then rushed over, Su Yi also dodged again, and Qilin directly opened his mouth to spray energy. Su Yi couldn't escape. It hurts a little bit. Su Yi turned around and hit it with a stick, and the Ruyi stick instantly became 100 feet long and hit the unicorn's head directly, causing the unicorn to lose 2 teeth. The attack and the fire phoenix attacked Su Yi. Su Yi turned around and smashed a fist on the horn of the golden dragon, breaking one of them. This dragon horn looks good on the unicorn, and I will use the dragon horn to stew soup when I look back. 191. Eat meat and take a bath, it's nice. With that said, Su Yi put away the dragon horns. Roar. The golden dragon roared. The dragon horn is the status symbol of the dragon. Now that there is one less dragon horn, its status has also dropped a lot. In severe pain from the broken horn, Su Yi smiled slightly. It's not enough to give me a dragon horn, do you want to give me another dragon horn? Then I will accept it all. After a dark loss, Su Yi always paid attention to the movements of the other 2 beasts. The auras of these 3 wild beasts are not very strong. They should be young and vigorous guys from these 3 tribes, and they are not difficult to deal with. If there are some guys who are older than these guys, Su Yi may it's a little harder, but these little guys are fine. With the addition of 15 primordial purple chi, Su Yi's aura instantly became more than 10 times stronger. Little guys, have enough fun. Look at the trick. Hit the dog. Boom boom boom. Boom boom boom. Boom boom boom. Su Yi's speed instantly turned into lightning, ruthlessly hitting 18 sticks, knocking out the heads of these guys and falling to the ground. Su Yi stood in front of them. Submit, or I'll stew you. Jinlong lost his dragon horns, and when he returned to the dragon clan, he only made others laugh. The attack was aimed at Su Yi, and this posture was desperate. I don't know what to do. Bump. Hit it with a stick, directly smashing the golden dragon's head. If you don't surrender, you will die. As soon as you look up, both Qilin and Huafeng run away. If it wasn't for this golden dragon begging for death, it would be a problem for you to leave. Carrying the golden dragon in one hand, Su Yi returned to his place and started roasting meat. The scarlet flame golden beast, obediently lying beside it, is like a magnified dog. The process of eating dragon meat is similar to eating snake meat, and dealing with internal organs, scales, and dragon tendons is a good thing. Su Yi pulled out a whole dragon tendon. It's a good thing, and the dragon horns are kept. The meaty flavor wafts out, which is a nice flavor. Su Yi and the Qian golden beast shared half of it, and the taste was still so fragrant. After eating and drinking enough, Su Yi looked at the dragon horns and dragon tendons that he got. System, Can this dragon horn and dragon tendon be exchanged for me with some kind of baby? After a while, the system answered Suyi. Host, these things can only be used after being combined with the things you got, and cannot be used directly in exchange for things. Suyi nodded. Well then, I'm going to claim today's daily gift pack. Click to open the package, and there are many things inside. The first is the Divine Wash, which provides 100 points of Divine Soul Power. Hey, yes, it's a good thing. I need a baby like this right now. Suyi looked at this thing and clicked quickly, took out the small bottle, opened the small bottle and smelled it. A magical fragrance surrounded Suyi, and his soul was about to be immortal. Not bad, not bad. Was this a direct drink? Suyi asked. The system quickly stopped Suyi. Host, this is for bathing, not for drinking, 1 drop at a time sooner or later. Suyi quickly shut up. Such a fragrant liquid is actually used for bathing. Isn't this a waste of good things? What if I drink it? Suyi asked curiously. This fragrance is really attractive. Drinking with the host's current spiritual power, it will explode directly. Suyi's face darkened, but luckily he hadn't drunk yet. Okay, just take a bath. Suyi entered the forest, selected a few good trees, cut them down, and made them into wooden buckets for bathing. Going to boil hot water again, in order to raise 100 soul points. It is really a hassle to take a bath. After heating the water, Suyi took out the soul wash and poured a drop into it carefully. In an instant, the bucket of bath water turned golden yellow, and a fragrant scent diffused. Suyi took off his clothes and went to take a bath. After entering, the whole person felt different. It was as if more than 10 pairs of women's gentle hands were massaging Suyi's muscles and bones. It was very comfortable. Suyi was soaked in it for an hour. Within an hour, the golden liquid gradually turned white, and the red-flamed golden beast was waiting by Suyi's side, adding hot water from time to time, very well behaved. I said you were looking at my bucket of bath water. What are you doing? Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot flowers 0 katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot. The huge head of the scarlet flame golden beast looked at the bath water and stuck out its tongue. Damn it, you don't want to drink it. The scarlet flame golden beast nodded its big head. He plunged his head into the bathtub and started drinking. Suyi couldn't help sighing when he saw that his bath bucket had become the thing for this guy to drink water. It seems that most of the power of this soul-washing liquid has been absorbed by me, and a small part is still in the water, so this guy is so obsessed. Seeing that her bath water was all drunk, Suyi felt unrealistic. Looking at the small ginseng fruit on the ginseng fruit tree, now that Suyi is waiting for this thing to be fully cooked, he is really enjoying himself. 0. It is very hard for people to cultivate the soul, and Suyi can solve it by taking a bath. Life is so free. After feeling comfortable, Suyi thought of the purple aura. Take it out of space. What the hell is this? Can you identify the system? The system swept aside. There are fragments of avenues here, which are also breeding an unknown life. Suyi looked at this group of purple rays of light. It turned out to be a child who gave birth to anger, and there were fragments of avenues in it. It seemed that he was not a simple guy. Pengu created the heavens and the earth. All things were born between the heavens and the earth. There were 50 primordial purple chi. Suyi only got 15, and 35 disappeared between the heavens and the earth. This thing has the aura of the great Tao in it, so let's keep it for now. No matter what it wants to breed, I'm the master of this guy. Suyi put this guy in the place with the most immortal energy on the immortal island of Penglai. Suyi also found a quiet place nearby to sit down, and cultivation is also the best rest. Time flies, and 7 days have passed in a blink of an eye. The masters of the Phoenix family, the masters of the Qilin family, and the masters of the Shenlong family have come here one after another. These guys are all in the realm of Da Luo Jingxian, and their strength is also very powerful. The guys who came before are all in the realm of Jingxian. Suyi's body has become a saint, but his soul is still not enough to become a saint. When these guys arrived near Penglai Immortal Island, Suyi noticed it right away. The speed of these old guys is really fast. 192. You are as strong as you are, and you have to die. Suyi looked at the top of his head, the breath above was very terrifying. There is Suyi's enchantment nearby, so in a short time, they couldn't find Suyi's hiding place. The red flame golden beast ran to Suyi's side. Master, the breath of these guys is very powerful. The words of the scarlet flame golden beast were conveyed from divine consciousness, and it was still the voice of a little boy. Suyi silently scorched the head of the golden beast. The people outside are really powerful, but it's not enough to prove it. 3 are hard to deal with, and it's not impossible to deal with one by one. The Qian golden beast looked at Suyi's sly eyes, and had a bad premonition in his heart. High in the sky, Huafeng brought the elders here. 3rd elders, that guy appeared here, and there is still the blood of the golden dragon on the ground. In the end, if the golden dragon hadn't fought 540s, and rushed up to the death, there is no way for me and Qilin to leave here. Huafeng used his divine sense to talk to the elder he brought. Elder Huafeng looked down. There seems to be fluctuations in the formation below, which is interesting. Huafeng and Elder Huafeng arrived here. Qilin and Qilin's elders also arrived here, and Jinlong came here, but the breath of this one is very powerful. The little guy before was considered to be in the realm of Jinxian, but now the guys are all in the realm of Deluo Jinxian, and they are much stronger than before. Not bad, not bad. I didn't eat enough last time, so I must eat well this time. Looking at the guy above, Suyi only had one thought in his heart, that is to replenish his taste buds. The red flame golden beast looked at its master and felt that this guy seemed like a lunatic. The breath of these 3 guys was stronger than the other, and the breath of the golden dragon was even more oppressive. He couldn't breathe. You take that thing to attract the golden dragon, and I'll clean up those 2 pairs of guys. The red flame golden beast glared at its eyes. Master, I'm not my opponent. I'm afraid that you will collect the corpse for me before you come. Suyi looked at it. The fighting power of these guys standing together is really powerful. If they were separated, there might still be a chance to clean up. I didn't ask you to attract that guy for a long time, just attract that guy away, then run back into my barrier, and then let that guy destroy the barrier. I also want to test how good my barrier is. It's amazing, let's do this. Hearing such a plan, the scarlet flame golden beast nodded. In this case, at least it can come back alive. The red-flamed golden beast appeared where the golden dragon was. The golden dragon smelled a smell, it was the smell of the golden dragon. The red-flamed golden beast ate the golden dragon, and it could smell such a smell as soon as it was smelled. Roar! The golden dragon roared and charged directly at the red flame golden beast. The people of the golden dragon clan did not eat whatever they wanted. The scarlet flame golden beast turned around and started running, and the speed of the guy was terrifyingly fast, and if he slowed down, he might not be able to save his life. As soon as Jinlong disappeared, a stick fell on Huafeng's head. Boom! With a muffled sound, the young Huafeng had his head chopped to pieces and died on the spot. Elder Huafeng saw that his younger generation was beaten to death by a stick like this, and he ran away instantly, and an amazing flame erupted all over his body. Boo! The fire phoenix screamed, and then rushed down, charging directly at Suyi. Suyi reached out and grabbed the dead phoenix on the ground. The last time I let you run away, this time I won't let you run away. Suyi put Huafeng's corpse in the space that he carried with him directly in front of the elder. Boo! Elder Huafeng roared angrily, thinking directly of Suyi's head, he was bound to kill him. The momentum is good, but if you want to kill me, you are still not qualified. Ruyi is great. The wish-fulfilling stick grew longer and bigger in an instant, and the stick reached the sky. Elder Huafeng rushed too hard, and there was no way to stop it. Bump! A crisp sound resounded through the heavens and the earth, and the flames of burning the sky erupted, all of which were the flames erupted by this elder. The temperature of the flames was very high and very hot. Hey, let's go, such a big bird. The fire is really not small. If this flame hits my head, it will definitely cook me. Suyi looked at the fire phoenix. The old guy has many ways. The old fire phoenix sprayed flames, and used the power of the flames to reduce his momentum. As long as the speed and strength of his impact are weakened, the old guy can spin his body in midair. A bird with a head is not the same as a bird without a head. Suyi commented lightly. Elder Huafeng's flames were even thicker. Regardless of friend or foe, the flames spewed out a mouthful of flames, turning this world into a purgatory on earth. Feeling the temperature of the flame, Suyi's face turned a little dark. The slow flame couldn't hurt him, but the enchantment below him might not be able to resist it. This old bird has a lot of flames. I don't know how many years of anger have been concentrated and only spit out now. Looking at the flames that filled the sky, Suyi's heart was a little helpless. System, do I have any treasures that can send this flame back to this old bird? A set of Duzhuan Xingxing Dafa appeared in his mind, and this array was obtained in the daily gift package. Good. Suyi stretched out his hand to display the formation. A black and white formation appeared in the sky. Tai Chi gossip, yin and yang were embedded in it, and in just a blink of an eye, Huofeng was sent under the flame, and Suyi was on top of the flame. Old bird, if you want to cook me, I will cook you. Huofeng saw that the flame he sprayed was about to fall on his head. His eyes were very panicked, and there was only one way to do it. This flame was spewed out by it, and only it could take it back. Huofeng opened his mouth, and the flames were absorbed. Hey, let's go, it's a good game. This belly 2.4 is really edible, but I think the flames in your belly are not good for your health. Let me help you vent the fire. Suyi ran behind Huofeng and hit Huofeng in the stomach with a stick. Huofeng was originally using her aura to withdraw her flame, so she could not be disturbed at this critical moment. Suyi's stick down directly interrupted her aura, and the flames of her body did not. Controlled. Boom. In an instant, the fire phoenix turned into the source of the flame, and instantly turned into countless fragments, and brilliant sparks erupted in the sky. Suyi retreated 100 meters away, but his blue robe had also turned into a tattered one, and his body was tattered, like a beggar. I'm going, this old guy has so much flame, he almost blew me into popcorn. 193. Slaughter all but not one. Suyi took off his tattered clothes, revealing his strong muscles, so as to be more comfortable. 2 fire phoenixes, one killed and pretended to be dead. The old fire phoenix exploded directly, and there was nothing to eat. Suyi's eyes locked on 2 unicorns, and the little unicorn stood behind the old unicorn. The old unicorn exuded a dangerous aura, and Suyi couldn't help but glance at it. The old ones are not as delicious as the tender ones. But the old ones can be roasted and eaten. Suyi's head now has an idea, and he has a big meal. The people of the Qilin family will not be so cowardly, follow me to fight. The little unicorn was a little scared, but after hearing the words of the old unicorn, he also stood in front. The unicorn family only had people who died in battle, and there were no people hiding behind. The little unicorn rushed up first, and Suyi jumped directly over the little unicorn's side. The old is tricky, solve the old first. The old unicorn watched Suyi appear in front of him and stretched out his iron hooves. Suyi turned to avoid him. But this iron hoof has a strong energy, and it seems to have the momentum to step through the space. Fortunately, the speed is not very fast, otherwise this hoof would really crush Suyi's bones. Hey, let me go. If this iron hoof is used for farming, it must be very useful. The old Qilin was very angry when he heard such words. He was a member of the Qilin family, and he even let him go to the farm. When he is a cow. Suyi looked at the old unicorn's anger, and rushed over directly, smiled slightly, and pointed the stick in his hand at this guy who was almost as good as a cow. In the next second, Suyi's wishful stick stood behind him, with the help of a force. He bounced himself directly below, and a golden light rushed over behind him, and when he turned around, the golden dragon spewed golden light and rushed over. "Kill my son, I want you to die." Suyi stood on the ground, watching the golden dragon go crazy, and the old unicorn rushed over, but Suyi saw the lonely little unicorn, and cast a formation in his hand. The battle turns the star to move the big array. A strange formation swapped the positions of Suyi and Xiao Qilin. Jinlong was swept away by the angry flames and knocked the little unicorn to the side. "Old Jinlong, you are crazy, don't hurt my son." Jinlong's eyes are golden light. "Who knew that your son would appear in front of me? I can't blame it, it can only be blamed on that kid's head." The little unicorn rolled to the side, with burn marks all over his body. He wanted to avoid the war, but was hit by the golden light. It was really miserable. The old unicorn went to the side of the little unicorn, and the little unicorn was injured, and the injuries were not minor. "You go back first." The little unicorn nodded, turned around and started to walk. Suyi casually played with this old guy with a wish-fulfilling stick in his hand. The old guy couldn't even catch it. It was said that it was the speed of lightning, but in Suyi's eyes, it was simply not enough. Roar! The golden dragon roared, and a lot of golden light spewed out of his mouth. Suyi's eyes widened, and the golden fire lotus appeared, colliding with the golden light. Boom boom boom, boom boom boom. The golden light burst into the surrounding, and the fire lotus also burst into a shocking flame. Jinlong's eyes became more serious. This kid is not an ordinary person. The power of this fire lotus is very terrifying. The old unicorn was waiting by the side, watching Suyi stop, and rushed up instantly. Suyi raised his stick to block the impact of the old unicorn. "I said, old guy, just save electricity, you're in the same grade, you only have this ability. Let's cool off." The wishful stick quickly enlarged in the eyes of the old unicorn, and in a blink of an eye, it turned into a mountain of round stones with millions of pounds, suppressing the old unicorn below. Jinlong looked at the huge Rui stick and was very cautious. "Another one has been solved, the fire phoenix has, the unicorn has, and there is another golden dragon, don't even think about leaving." The wish-fulfilling stick grows directly and hits the golden dragon. The beaten golden dragon wailed and retreated 100 meters. "Want to open a distance and attack me again? Unfortunately, you are wrong. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, I can take care of you. The wish-fulfilling stick will grow longer." The wish-fulfilling stick instantly became longer and stretched directly to the side of Jinlong's head. "I told you to run." When a stick hit Jinlong's head, and Suyi gathered all his strength. "It's time to go home for dinner, I won't play with you anymore, wishful thinking, close." In an instant, Suyi was brought to the side of the golden dragon and smashed his fist on the dragon's head. Suyi grabbed a dragon's horn with both hands and exerted force. Click, click, all torn down. Roar! Jinlong broke free for a long time, but he couldn't break free, and he saw that his two horns were just cut off. The golden blood flowed down from the head, and the consciousness of the golden dragon began to be confused. The golden horn was a symbol of their identity and a source of strength. Suyi smiled slightly and stretched out a stick. When a stick went down, and the dust settled. An old golden dragon, an old unicorn plus a fire phoenix, tonight's dinner is really rich. The scarlet flame golden beast couldn't help being stunned when he saw that all three were on the shelf. "I said, what do you think of the golden dragon?" Suyi looked at this red flame golden beast and explained that he couldn't do anything like this, and he began to doubt whether this guy was a wise guy. It saw the flames on the horizon and went back. "What can I do?" "It makes no sense to say that." Suyi looked at the bodies of the three big guys. "You couldn't eat anything good when I was in retreat at 850. I'll let you eat enough today." The red-flamed golden beast obediently fought beside him, and the two of them ate a round belly. "When you're full, you go to prepare. It's been a long time since you've been outside. This fruit has a few days to ripen. I want to go outside and have a look." The scarlet flame golden beast nodded. The two guys rested for the night, and the next day, they set off at dawn. Before leaving, Suyi added the Duzhuanxingxingbao array on Penglai Island, which was double, as if he had added double insurance. Just a little far away, there shouldn't be anything wrong. This has my soul imprint on it. If someone can break this enchantment, I can feel it for the first time. Okay, let's go. After sleeping for so long, the outside world has also changed a lot, but in Suyi's eyes, it seems that yesterday was the time when Pengbu opened up the world. Outside, there are many fierce beasts rising, the most powerful of which are Jinlong, Huafang, and Qilin. I didn't expect these three races to be so powerful. It's not easy. Suyi arrived at a wilderness mountain range. There was a magical power rolling in the depths of this mountain range, and the surrounding aura was threatening. This is a good place. Don't you know the reason why there are mountain treasures in this underground? It makes the aura here so strong. 194. Meet Nua for the first time. Chapter 4 for subscription. The Scarlet Flame Golden Beast also looked down, and couldn't see why. There seem to be a few people over there, let's go and see. The Scarlet Flame Golden Beast followed the direction indicated by Suyi, and there were really a few people below. Jigu, is it true that you say there are treasures in this place? Nua followed behind Ju Jiyu and was very curious. She heard that there was a treasure here and Ju Jiyu came here to see it. Nua, Jigu won't lie, let's go and see. Tai's eyes glowed with golden light, and he could see that there was aura everywhere, and it was very strong. If there were treasures underground, the aura here would not be so strong. The three of them were still looking for something in this mountain, as if they were looking for some treasure. The Scarlet Flame Golden Beast was not far from the three people. Master, they seem to be looking for treasures too. Suyi looked at the three people, especially the woman in the purple shirt. She was so beautiful. Such stunners are very rare in the sky and the ground. Suyi lost his soul when he looked at Nua. It was not until the three people disappeared from Suyi's sight that Suyi reacted. Since there are treasures in this place, let's wander around here too. The Scarlet Flame Golden Beast looked at this guy and didn't seem to hear what it said at all. Suyi patted the Red Flame Golden Beast. Let's wander apart. After finishing speaking, Suyi turned around and left. The Qian Golden Beast looked around and threw it here. Suyi quietly followed the three of them. With Suyi's current ability, there is no way for ordinary people to find him. Nua, Tai, you can see that there is a cave in front of you, and the spiritual energy inside is even stronger. Let's go down and have a look. Jigu was very excited. He passed by chance before and knew that the spiritual energy here was different. The three of them entered the cave one after another, and Suyi followed closely behind. For no other reason than to see more girls, after wandering out for so long, and meeting such a beautiful woman, without leaving any impression, just what a pity. Entering the inside of the cave, it was pitch dark inside. The three of them were also enlightened people, and they all had some skills. Unknowingly, I walked into the depths of the cave, and the more I got inside, the more intense the spiritual energy inside, almost to the point of excitement. Jigu, be careful, for some reason, I always feel unsafe inside Tilda. Giants take the lead. It's okay, the three of us are generally not our opponents. Jigu was fearless and boldly moved forward, Suyi quietly followed behind. There are 3 forks in it, and Jigu relies on his sensitive perception. Let's go the middle way. After moving on for a long time, I suddenly felt that the spiritual energy was much thicker. In the depths of the ground, there was a strong spiritual energy that could be felt by the naked eye. 3 stone platforms can be seen in front, each with a light group on it. Jigu was very happy when he saw the black giant axe for the first time, jumped vigorously under his feet, and reached out and took the giant axe into his hand. Good stuff, good axe. Jigu has a strong body and infinite strength. This axe is very suitable for holding in the hand, neither heavy nor light. Jigu was very happy to swing the axe. Nua saw the light group in the middle emitting purple light, so she went up and took the light group into her hand. Texture. Tai got a scroll in his hand, the method of the gods. Let's get our stuff and leave here. I don't think it's right here. Jigu played it a few times and carried it on his back. I'll just say it, there must be a baby here. Suyi hid behind. Although the three of them got the baby, Suyi is not bad. He only has Nua in his eyes. The most important thing is to appreciate such a beautiful woman. And there are 3 treasures here. If there is no guardian of the beast, it is too easy to get. Suyi didn't know if his mouth was consecrated or not. After saying this, a fierce aura came from behind him. I rely on. With a curse in her heart, Suyi hurriedly avoided. This guy is not joking. Just as the 3 were about to return, a huge guy appeared behind them. This is ancient beasts. The faces of the 3 people have changed. After the great desolate century, Pengu opened up the world and the world has changed, but there are still some beasts left over from ancient times. These guys are cruel and tyrannical, and they will die if they meet. Get out of here quickly. Tai shouted and drew runes in his hands, temporarily blocking the movement of the ancient beasts. But how could he seal the ancient beasts for too long with his Taoism? The 3 people stepped back and looked around. There was only the only intersection that came in, and the rest of the places had no entrance at all. Junior brother, be careful. Nua called loudly, but it was too late. The ancient vicious beast roared and slapped Tai to the side. 7 or 8 bones were broken all over his body, and Tai was severely injured. Diaresis beasts. Jigu was furious, waved the axe in his hand, and hit the beast's claws at once. All of a sudden, one of the beast's claws was cut off in an instant, blood splashed all over Jigu. Jigu's eyes were filled with blood, and before he opened his eyes, the fierce beast slapped it down with one paw. Jigu rolled to one side and crashed deeply into the stone wall. The axe flew to the wall next to it and was deeply carved into it. Nuwa's hands are changing 1,000 times, and a spell is chanted in her mouth. Back. The purple light shone brightly, the ancient beast roared, and the terrifying aura directly broke through Nua's barrier, and slapped Nua with one paw. Sister. Jigu shouted, but he couldn't rush over. Tai's heart was also tight, and he was very worried about Nua. Boom. To Li Hao. A loud noise and a terrifying air wave pushed the 2 people aside again. An iron rod stood in the middle, and the ancient beast stepped back a few steps and hit the stone wall behind. Suyi hugged Nuwa's waist, which was really soft and thin. This beauty, are you alright? Jigu, Tai looked at Suyi. Where did the guy come from? They didn't notice the person's breath at all, but this person's gold didn't seem to be the treasure in the cave. When they got the treasure, the man didn't show up. But it happens when Nuwa is in danger. The 2 men couldn't help but murmur in their hearts, this kid's heart is really cunning. Just waiting for this hero to save the beauty. The 2 were very unwilling. They did not protect Nua well, but let others take advantage of it. At this time, their hearts were extremely complicated. Nua looked at Suyi with a blushing face. This was the first time she was so close to a man. 195. The flat-headed brother of the prehistoric world. Who are you? Suyi put Nua on the ground in a gentlemanly manner. My name is Suyi, what do you call girl? Suyi looked at Nua in front of her, beautiful. What a beauty, my heart is beating wildly, blood is boiling. My name is Nua, thank you just now. Suyi blinked. She really didn't know if she was lucky or what. The first girl she met when she came out was actually the ancestor of the human race gods in the future, and she hugged others. Suyi couldn't slow down a bit. The ancient vicious beast slapped Suyi's wishful stick with its paw, which hurt a little, but seeing Suyi so leisurely over there almost ignored its existence. Ancient beasts also have their own wisdom. Roar. The ancient vicious beast roared, and a large lump of flesh rushed over. Suyi took the wishful stick in his hand and faced the Shengguan beast. I'm here, you can get out. Big. The wish-fulfilling stick instantly became bigger. Boom. With one stick, The ancient beast was exchanged back, and the ancient beast sank deeply into the wall, turning into a living mural of the ancient beast. Suyi's simple hands made the three of them stunned. Is this a man? This is the first reaction of the three. The ancient beast looked at Suyi. His eyes were full of 420 anger, burning his own blood power, more fierce and more obscure. Hey, I still have to fight. I originally wanted to let you go, but if you don't want to leave, I will take you. Suyi stood in front of Nuwa, stepped on the ground handsomely, and the greater ray appeared in Suyi's palm. Come on, good things for you. The eyes of the ancient beast shone with red light, and a mouthful of energy spit out. The energy was very terrifying. Suyi could feel that if this force hit him, he would be seriously injured. Boom boom boom. The energy of the earth-shattering weeping ghosts and gods exploded in an instant. Nuwa stared at the scene in front of her dumbfounded. How did you do it? After a while, Nuwa reacted. Suyi smiled slightly and landed on the ground holding Nuwa, who looked at it. His position was completely reversed with that of the ancient beast. Jagu, Tai looked at the ancient beast beside them. How powerful this guy was. He didn't expect to be killed by his own energy in the blink of an eye. Who did all this is the man standing beside Nuwa. Who is this man, and how is CCDE so powerful? Jagu and Tai glanced at each other. Both of them were deeply shocked in their hearts, and they will be their strong opponents in the future. Thank you. The scene in front of him gradually became easier, and the ancient monster was killed by his own energy explosion, which was a dramatic end. Jagu walked over with Tai. This is my senior brother Jagu, and my junior brother Tai. We are all disciples of Saint Hongjun. I don't know where brother Suyi inherited his masters. Saint Hongjun, I didn't expect someone to reach the realm of a saint. Suyi sneered in his heart. This guy is someone who can steal the way of heaven. It seems that the relationship is very complicated. In the future, the relationship between these four people will be very complicated. A few people who have a chance, and a person who can't see others getting a chance, this relationship can be lively. Suyi looked at the three people, and the meaning of his eyes changed a lot. Jagu didn't like Suyi's eyes. I'm just a loose scholar. I passed by here and saw you coming here. I was curious and followed, but I just came to have a look. There was no other meaning. Tai and Jagu looked at each other. When they got the baby, Suyi did not shoot. If Suyi was shooting at their baby, maybe they will get nothing. However, the eyes of the two were more fierce and hostile. Suyi smiled bitterly. It seemed that his purpose was seen through by these two people. Brother Suyi, we just came out to take risks. Now that someone is injured, we have to go back. Where are you going? If there is no suitable place, you can also go with us. I will introduce you to my master. Quote. Suyi smiled slightly. I didn't want to see your respected teacher. I'm just a person who came out to practice. I have a lot of days to calculate, and it's time to go home and take a look. Saying that, Suyi clasped his fists at the three of them. I wish you all the best of luck. After finishing speaking, Suyi stretched out his hand and put the ancient beast into the space that he carried with him. Without any hesitation, he turned around and left. Go to see Hongjun. Just kidding, this old man doesn't know himself, and this old guy has become a saint, and now is not the time to meet. My own fruit is almost ready. If you don't go home to eat the fruit, do you wait for the fruit to melt? The most important thing is to leave a good impression on the beauty and brewing feelings. Outside the mountain, Suyi took a deep breath. The treasure in the cave is very important, but Suyi's feeling is also very accurate. The protected treasure is very important, but the guardian of the ancient beasts should not be simple. Taking it back to study, there are not only those three kinds of auras in the cave, but also a vague aura. Suyi did not appear, and he was also waiting for where the vague aura came from. Of course, there is also a point where there is no suitable hero to save the beauty, and if you suddenly appear, you will only be hostile. At the moment when the ancient beast appeared, Suyi made sure of one thing. that if there is no spiritual energy flowing from the body of the ancient beast. The body of the ancient beast is in his hands, and it can be regarded as his trophy. When I went outside, although I was nostalgic for the beautiful girl Nua, now is not the time to meet, and if there is fate, I will meet again. Crimson Flame Golden Beast. Suyi called out, a ray of light flickered, and the red-flamed golden beast appeared beside Suyi. Hey, I'll go, I won't see you in a while, what kind of smell does this smell on you? The red-flamed golden beast exudes an unbearable smell, and what I don't know is that it has been transferred into the cesspool. There's a flat-headed dwarf over there who bullied me. The voice of the little boy with red flames and golden beasts told him that he was wronged. Suyi reached out and wanted to touch it, but when he smelled the smell, he took it back. Cut-headed dwarf, take me to see it. Suyi followed next to the Qian golden beast. He didn't want to sit for the time being, but he would take it for a good wash, and then sit again. After advancing for a kilometer, I saw a small dwarf with a flat head. Good stuff, brother Flathead. This flat-headed brother is really different. There are 3 white hairs on the back, and the hairs below are all black. The small eyes are like black gems, full of spirituality. It looks very domineering, and he also eats a poisonous snake as a spicy bar in his hand. Looking at Suyi and the Qian golden beast while eating, Suyi looked very interesting with that humanized look of contempt. 196. 3 unlucky eggs. This little thing is not bad, and it has opened up the wisdom, but the red flame golden beast, you are so big, you were beaten by it, you. Suyi said half of what he said, and felt that the roar of the red flame golden beast broke out in an instant. Unable to bear Suyi's words, he rushed up again. Brother Pingtu, who was eating spicy strips, threw out the spicy strips in his hand, which was a highly poisonous golden striped snake. With toxins all over his body, Suyi picked up a piece of wood from the ground and smashed it out. The stick was just right, and the poisonous snake was hit back. The flat-headed brother Honey Badger's eyes were unpleasant, and he felt that Suyi was a nosy person. If Suyi didn't take action, the toxin on the golden snake would make the red-flamed golden beast lose its combat effectiveness. Brother Pingtu's name, everyone knows it, but if you can't beat this guy, you can't justify it. The red-flamed golden beast turned into anger and spit out a mouthful of flames. The flat-headed brother, Honey Badger, is not a fool. He turned around and burrowed into the ground to avoid the flames. This little thing's movements are very sensitive, and Suyi is also interested in this guy. Suyi summoned the Rui stick and stabbed it into it. The Rui stick can be freely changed in size, and when it entered it, it directly knocked out the flat-headed Honey Badger. Honey Badger went outside, saw Suyi, and rushed over. Suyi reached out and grabbed Brother Flathead's back. Okay, little guy, I need an employee in my yard to take care of it. Live if you want, or stew you if you don't. The flat-headed brother Honey Badger will fight anyone he meets. Although Suyi grabbed his back, the little guy was still struggling, and the little guy's strength was really not small. Suyi grabbed with one hand, but almost missed, so he had to stretch out the other hand. I said, if the trouble continues, I don't mind roasting you. The honeypot struggled for a long time, but couldn't do anything, and finally was obediently grabbed by Suyi. That's it, go back. The red-flamed golden beast looked at the Pingtuje honeypot in Suyi's hand, and was very angry. For Suyi, it was just a matter of grabbing a job and going back. Penglai Immortal Island is still so calm, but it can be seen that there are many people passing by here, and there are many places where the formation is broken. Looks like I'm being seen as a piece of fat here. Suyi threw Brother Pingtu's honey pot on the ground. Brother Pingtu couldn't calm down when he looked at the ginseng fruit in front of him. This is a magical fruit tree that is hard to see. It actually exists here, and the fruit on it will soon ripen. The honeypot couldn't help but walk over, and Suyi stood between it and the ginseng fruit tree. Just take care of my yard and give you a piece of fruit. If you eat it secretly by yourself, I'll take care of you. The honeypot looked at the fruit tree and nodded. Suyi is very satisfied. Brother Pingtu's labor force is worth looking forward to. You two take a good look at the house, and I'll take care of the guests. The wishful stick stretched, and Suyi was outside the barrier. At this time, there were still several guys trying to break the barrier. Suyi looked at a few guys, really silly and cute. I said, what are you guys doing here? Suyi stood by, watching these young people, trying so hard to break his barrier. This spirit is also very worthy of commendation. We are working hard to break the barrier. There should be a very good baby here with strong spiritual energy. Who are you? How did you appear here? Suyi smiled slightly, and a few guys who didn't know anything were here to break his barrier. If you want to break the barrier, you don't know who set it up, so you want to break it. I am the owner of this barrier. Suyi looked at the three boys. They all had a kind of spiritual energy in their bodies, which should be condensed by the spirit. You set this barrier. Who are you? One of the mustaches stared at Suyi. The three brothers had been trying to break this barrier for a long time. The sudden appearance of such a guy really made them very upset. Suyi took out the wish-fulfilling stick. I said it all, this is my place. Suyi's eyes widened, which startled the three guys, and the wish-fulfilling stick instantly stretched, knocking the three directly to the ground. Boom boom boom. The three of them turned into headscarves. The three people's spiritual energy ran away, and they also struggled out of the soil. Beard looked at Suyi. You are so unreasonable, we just want to break the barrier and have a look. Why are you a stick when you come up? Suyi smiled. Hey, you can meet anything when you are older. Which mountain do I say you are from? Isn't it just that you got aura and transformed into human form, so you don't know how high the sky is? The mustache is the oldest. Which mountain are you on? Suyi's face darkened. Are these people cages or fools? Still asking, he said that this enchantment area is his territory. Which mountain am I on? I'll tell you, my grandfather. Raising the wishful stick, he went berserk, and three big pig heads appeared. Okay, is there anything else you want to ask? The three spirits shook their huge pig heads desperately, no longer wanting to discuss any reason with this grandfather. 0. What do you want to do when you open this barrier? The mustache was the most swollen, and his mouth began to run away when he spoke. Sage Hongjun opened a Taoist altar to teach the Dharma. My three brothers also wanted to go to the meeting, but I couldn't leave empty-handed, so I searched for treasures. I saw some people coming here to break the barrier here, but those people didn't have much patience. So they all left. The few of us didn't dare to look for the ancient beasts, so we could only look for such a non-dangerous ceiling barrier. The corner of Suyi's mouth twitched. His enchantment was said to be a non-dangerous place. This is because your offensive power is too small, and my formation is too lazy to use it. If I hit it hard, I will know if my formation is so fragile. The three of them didn't dare to talk nonsense, for fear that Suyi would be unhappy and be beaten violently. However, the name of this Hongjun has not been heard once. The last time I met Nua, Jagu, and Tai were all Hongjun's disciples. This Hongjun can become a saint in this troubled time, and he is also a capable guy. Why does this guy still open the forum to teach the FA? Beard thought for a while. We've wasted almost a month here, and it's less than a month away from the lecture. Suyi nodded. This is where I live. You are all rare spirits. Did I eat you, or what should I do with you? The three panicked. My lord, we just want to find some treasures. We don't intend to offend your territory, please forgive me. 197. Goodbye Nua, my name is Jesus. My lord, the three of us brothers also absorbed the essence of the sun and the moon before they became spiritual. I beg you to raise your hand. Yes, your lord, please spare us. Suyi thought for a while. In his yard, there was a ginseng fruit tree, a red-flamed golden beast, and a flat-headed brother's honeypot. These three spirits are also very difficult to obtain. If you know my place of residence, you may also bring others back to hunt for treasure. For the safety of my place of residence, you should be my servants obediently. Follow me, and I will not hurt you. Are you willing? Suyi looked at the 3 pig heads. Keeping these pig heads was purely on a whim. The 3 guys look at me and I look at you. They want to go to Hongjun to seek Taoism. Now let them follow Suyi. Really very unwilling. Huh, a few, aren't you happy? Suyi's face turned dark. Since 763 is no better than that Hongjun, and a few guys are still picky, they deserve to be beaten. Seeing Suyi's wishful stick, the 3 of them were scared. Master, you will be our master from now on. Suyi took the wish-fulfilling stick and threw them in with 3 spirits. At first glance, the 3 of them still saw the ginseng fruit that was about to bear fruit. This is a ginseng fruit tree. There are ginseng fruit on it. The 3 people's saliva flowed directly to the ground without any concealment. The 3 of you take good care of this yard. There are also honey badger flathead, and one of my mounts, the red flame golden beast. You must get along well. I'm going to see the open altar of Hongjun above. After teaching the FA, I hope to come back and see what I want to see, understand? The 3 guys nodded desperately. Scarlet Flame Golden Beast, we're going out. The Scarlet Flame Golden Beast, who was resting next to him, thought it was sleep talk, but as soon as he came back from going out, he was going to go out again. It was really exhausting. I said, go out. The red-flamed golden beast was still in a deep sleep, and when it heard this voice, it jumped up directly, and the hair all over its body exploded. Roar. Suyi looked at the stupid look of this guy, and couldn't help but stood beside him and laughed. I said you are so big, why are you so brave? The Scarlet Flame Golden Beast looked at Suyi, very annoyed, and looked at Suyi hummingly. Master, you just came back, okay. The red-flamed golden beast collapsed a little. What kind of head is its owner? And he went out as soon as he came back, and he hadn't had time to take a sip of water. I caught a few guys outside just now and said that Hongjun is going to preach. This Hongjun can become a saint in this troubled time. It's a guy who has some skills. I'm curious to go and see, and I will also catch game on the road to eat. Go with me, and I won't take you with me. After saying that, Suyi turned around and left, not at all sloppy. As soon as the red-flamed golden beast heard the game, his heart was alive. I'm going. The red-flamed golden beast made the sound of a little boy and stood beside Suyi, who jumped on top of it. This guy preached and someone gave gifts. These guys gave gifts and sent their ideas to my Penglai Immortal Island. I won't go and see, how can I say it? The red-flamed golden beast looked at Suyi with contempt. Even if it was a little boy, he could see that this guy obviously wanted to see beautiful women, and he could say that it was justified, and it was really okay. Huh. Suyi glared at the Qian golden beast. The little guy was a life of hard work, and the 2 foodies hit a lot of game along the way. However, along the way, I also met a lot of guys who were going to give gifts to Hongjun. People who became saints are really famous. Suyi murmured a few words in his heart, and then summoned his own system. The system, my daily gift bag, give me something good today. This person will give gifts when they go up, and I can't leave empty-handed. Clicking on the daily gift bag, Suyi blinked. What is this? Host, this is ecstasy. Anyone below a saint can be brought down. Looking at this small bottle, it is really interesting. It can be put down below the saint. Not bad, it is a good thing. It's a great gift. Holding the vial in his hand, Hongjun's preaching was so lively. He also wanted to be lively, but he didn't know how the Nua was doing. With such a beautiful appearance, Jagu and Tai around him are also very hot. I can't see for a day, I really miss it, but Suyi just went to see. There is no malicious intention, just to see. The red-flamed golden beast has no regrets. It has eaten a lot of game along the way. It is full, and its power is gradually becoming stronger. Seeing the huge mountain gate thousands of miles away, this is called the real king of the mountain, really domineering. There were still people walking in one after another to visit the Saint Hongjun. Suyi also mixed into it. Have you heard? This Taoist Hongjun has 7 futons. As long as he can sit on it, he will be able to cultivate himself into a true fruit as soon as possible. Yeah, Saint Hongjun, there are 3,000 people from the red dust, who have formed good karma, and realize the fruit of the Tao together with all beings in the world. He is really a good person. Suyi was listening to the clouds and fog, and the futon could comprehend the sage's fruit. What the hell is this? Do you need to sit for a while to practice? Whether it's true or false, we'll have to go and see to find out. The closer you get to the mountain gate of this Taoist Hongjun, the more and more people there are, and they are all crowded together in the end, which is very lively. Just looking at it, Suyi's eyes were attracted to the past. Thinking about it day and night, she was satisfied when she saw it. It seems that this is Saint Hongjun, who is about to open an altar to teach the Fa and summon all his disciples back. It was Tai who sat there and wrote down his name. Jagu and Nua were in charge of welcoming the guests. Just seeing Nua would make this group of guests worthwhile. Suyi also followed these people, but Suyi couldn't just be seen by Nua. At that time, Nua had invited him, and it is shameless to be seen like this now. 4.0. After thinking about it, Suyi changed himself into an ordinary appearance. As long as he didn't do anything, he didn't show his own. When the spiritual energy came, it was difficult for the 3 of them to notice. When they got to the door, Suyi stood in front of Nua, and the woman became much better looking after not seeing her for a few days. Welcome, I don't know what your name is. Suyi looked at Nua. Jesus. Nua looked at Suyi with very curious eyes, and always felt that the eyes were very familiar and could not be explained. Is it Jesus? Suyi nodded. The name is very simple. Suyi is Jesus upside down. This way please. Nua was brought in, and the Daotong behind him took Suyi away. Next, we will arrange a proper rest room and wait for the lecture tomorrow. 198. Hongjun's Sermon, A Woman's Intuition. Suyi lay in the room to rest, all the image of Nua in his mind, the red flame golden beast. He let it stay outside and wait for him to go back. Everything depends on tomorrow. He wants to see how this Hongjun lectures and how to teach others the holy fruit. In the evening, Suyi came out to see the moon and starry sky. This world is so beautiful. I don't know if it was a coincidence or fate. Nua also passed by here. Suyi saw Nua and smiled slightly. The beautiful woman always attracts people's attention wherever she goes. What a coincidence. Suyi's heart seemed to stop for a beat. What a coincidence, did you come out to see the stars too? Suyi nodded. Suyi quickly walked a few steps to Nuwa's side. It's really fate, if you don't mind, can we walk together? Suyi can't tell who he is now, so let's brew more. Good. The two walked along the stone path and chatted about some topics of life. Nua smiled slightly when she heard the words. This person is really interesting. A woman's intuition is so unreasonable, I don't know why. Nua felt that this person's eyes were very familiar, and it was not a woman's intuition even if she was familiar. The front is my room. Tomorrow, the master will give a lecture. See you then. Suyi nodded. Okay, see you tomorrow. Nua glanced at Suyi. Sometimes a woman's intuition is so unreasonable. Suyi turned around and walked away for a while, when a few cold winds wrapped him. Boy, dare to get close to Nua, don't you know that there are 2 brothers Tai and Jagu guarding her? Suyi didn't even bother to look at it. A gust of wind blew, and several people fell to the ground unconscious without seeing Suyi move. This kind of scum, Suyi didn't even have the intention to kill. Turning around and leaving, he felt that he could see how Hongjun preached tomorrow, and then he could also learn from others when he gave lectures in the future. The next day came in a blink of an eye. Suyi slept very comfortably, but no one came to call him. It seems that he was tricked by someone. Suyi took a brief shower, and as soon as he opened the door, he saw Nua walking by. The altar lecture has already started. Why are you still sleeping here and telling the boy to tell you that you didn't get up? Suyi looked at Nuwa, and her heart warmed. I didn't hear anyone calling. Maybe it's because I've walked too long, so I'm too tired, and I've slept too fast. Nuwa looked at Suyi helplessly. Okay, come with me, the first afternoon lecture is about to end, and in the afternoon lecture, there will be a few people who have the opportunity to comprehend the holy fruit. If you can win it, it will be a good idea for your cultivation path. There are great benefits. Quote. Suyi smiled slightly and let Nuwa pull him forward. When they arrived at the venue, Nuwa realized that she was still pulling Suyi. The gatekeepers saw Nuwa pulling Suyi with envious, jealous eyes. Suyi's indifferent expression made people even more angry. As the opening lecture over, Nuwa let go of Suyi's hand and asked anxiously. Not yet, but it will be over in less than a quarter of an hour. The gatekeeper answered honestly, it was the first time he saw such a Nuwa, and he couldn't help but take a second look. Nuwa brought Suyi into the venue. Both Jagu and Tai saw it. Junior brother, who is this kid? Why are you so close to junior sister? Jagu looked at Suyi with sharp eyes, wishing he could tear this kid into 10,000 pieces. I remember this man's name is Jesus. Tai's head is very easy to use, and it is his ability to not forget. There are 3,000 red dust guests here, and he can tell the names and origins of the people here, which is also a skill. Jesus, I don't care who this kid is. Anyone who gets close to my junior sister will not make him feel better. Nuwa is the first female disciple of Taoist Hongjun. She is smart, beautiful, generous and gentle. She is everyone's dream lover. Tai didn't speak, and the eyes looking at Suyi gradually became deeper. Nuwa took Suyi to a more common seat next to her, but here you can see and hear the sermon from above. Suyi listened to a few words, and said what really happened. Suyi looked up and saw that 3,000 Hongqian guests were sitting in a crowd, and they all sat in a very standard posture. They were really good children. Looking at the 3,000 red dust guests, Suyi's pupils narrowed, and there were 7 futons on it. It wasn't the futon that attracted Suyi, but the purple aura around the futon. The purple aura is very magical, and it seems to have a spirit. Suyi has an answer in his heart. The purple aura in these 7 futons is not ordinary energy, it is the purple energy of Hongmeng. When Suyi opened up the world in Pangu, he grabbed 15 to Hongmeng Zichi and kept it for himself, all of which were hidden from the heavenly secret avenue. Unexpectedly, this Saint Hongjun can also get the 7 paths, which is a blessing. However, Suyi has already grabbed 15 courses, but he is not interested in these avenues, so he did not understand, otherwise, where would this guy be preaching now? Suyi just listened to what this person said, and it should have been learned from the avenues he got. It's just that this old boy didn't do good things, and some places shouldn't say that. This guy should have done it on purpose. It's really not a good thing to set up a fog for people to show their abilities. Suyi sneered, such a person, the 913 facade is brighter than anyone else. In fact, they sell dog meat with sheep's heads. Suyi opened his eyes. Listening to this person would be a waste of his life, even if he didn't listen. Coming here is purely out of curiosity, and now that curiosity has passed, it is a good plan to find an opportunity to take away these 7 futons. Just when Suyi was thinking about how to make these futons, Nuwa sat beside Suyi. The teacher's speech is very profound. It's normal if you don't understand it very well. It's already lunch break time. You should also take a good rest. Suyi opened her eyes and looked at Nuwa with a smile and nodded. This Nuwa still looks very attractive, but Suyi is not only here for a woman, but also because of the number of beauties in the world. There is no hurry to pick flowers, take your time, some are good flowers, and Suyi has to choose slowly. There were a bunch of idiots beside them, who kept looking at Suyi, but Suyi didn't pay any attention to these people at all. When many people saw this scene, they burst into murderous eyes. Suyi didn't mind this kind of vision. However, Suyi was also puzzled. Did this woman see through his identity? Or is it just a little bit of a crush on him? A woman's intuition is terrifying, and Suyi can understand this sentence more and more. 199. 7 chances. During the lunch break, everyone was discussing the Tao they had understood, supplementing their incomplete Tao, and pursuing a more complete Tao fruit. The afternoon lecture also started later, and Suyi just came to watch the excitement. There was nothing worth listening to in this class. However, I heard people say that in the end, 7 people will be chosen to be the futon to understand the avenue. Suyi sat down and wanted to see who could understand this avenue. It was also a chance. At the end of the conference, people who are destined can come up and sit on this futon. Anyone who wants to come and try. Many people came up to try, but the futon seemed to be looking for a person, and no one could sit on it. An old man came over. The poor monk took the lead and came here along the way of heaven, looking for an opportunity. Master Hongjun, this time as polite. Saint Hongjun, dressed in a Taoist robe, saluted in return. Jia Yin watched the first futon sit up, and everyone stretched out their heads to see if the futon would push him down, but surprisingly, the futon did not push him down. Pick up. Good name. Suyi looked at this old Taoist and was a very interesting person. Suyi could see that the futon accepted the invitation. Then another person came, tattered. Brother Ziayan, you don't have to wait for me, the master is polite, and Junti also wants to come and try, I wonder if you can. Hongjun nodded. Someone who is destined to get it, come. The people around them widened their eyes. Is it true that these two are brothers and sisters? The eyes of ordinary people are naturally unable to see through. Suyi can see that these two people are also very deep in Taoism, which is not comparable to ordinary people. The third futon shone brightly, and Nua felt something in her heart. Nua walked over 1,000, attracting everyone's attention. The disciple is not talented, and I also want to try to see if there is a chance. Hongjun nodded. Of course you can, go ahead. Nuwa saluted and sat on the third futon. As expected of a goddess. God bless you, Diaresis. Look, look, as expected of the goddess in my heart. A group of people next to them saw that the two in front were very angry, but they were very happy when they saw Nuwa sitting up. Suyi watched a lively scene next to her. This Nuwa has a beautiful face, but what is even more rare is her sincere kindness. Such a pure and good person will naturally have great opportunities. A man in red walked to Hongjun. Hongyun is also here to try, Master, it's polite. Hongjun returned the gift. Go ahead. Hongyun sat on the fourth futon. This person's name is Hongyun, and he is a well-known practitioner. I didn't expect to see him here. This man is a good old man. Many people think of his goodness. This man also has a chance and deserves it. Suyi smiled slightly. This Hongyun's practice has reached a certain level, which is understandable, but it is rare for people in the world to be so kind. 3 figures appeared beside the open altar. Sanqing Taoist Hall, Tongtian, Yuan, Laozi and 3 people came here. Shizhen has been waiting for a long time. Hongjun returned the gift. You guys try it too. The 3 also sat down. The people around looked. Why are there so many old men? Many people have various mood changes in their hearts. Greed, hatred, resentment, everywhere. 7 futons, 7 people. God bestows good fortune. These 7 people will naturally have extraordinary fate. But coincidentally, these are all disciples of Hongjun. Suyi turned around and left. There was nothing to see here, but he also really wanted to open a dojo and give lectures a try, but it all depends on his mood. However, this Hongjun sage has become the ancestor of Hongjun, the first person to preach and teach. Suyi turned around and left, found the scarlet flame golden beast, and was ready to go back. But something unexpected happened around here. Master, there are a lot of vicious beasts in front of them. There are many kinds, and the level is not low. Should we change our path? Suyi frowned. He didn't expect that this opening lecture could attract so many evils. Don't worry, I am the first person to leave, and those people will leave later. Let's watch the fun and see what these guys are going to do. The demon clan has invaded a lot, and it is impossible for Saint Hongjun not to know. These beasts are ancient beasts, and they are also very difficult to deal with. Among them, the three most powerful forces are the Golden Dragon, the Fire Phoenix, the Qilin, the three clans, and many monsters come here to make trouble. It seems that the liveliness here is not ordinary. Feeling the auras of these three races, Suyi suddenly remembered that the purple chi that he didn't know before was still in Suyi's hands. In this way, the monsters are sniping not far from the mountain where Hongjun is located. It seems that they are also attracted by this opening of the altar, and want to start with these people who want to go back. Among the monsters, there are also many wise guys, and these guys must want to slaughter these people who have a great chance. Diaresis interesting, the opening ceremony is about to end, it seems that a massacre is about to start. The red flame golden beast, let's hide first, don't leave in a hurry, I want to see how big the excitement will be. The scarlet flame golden beast looked at the Lord who was afraid that the world would not be in chaos. When could he think about its feelings? I said, why are you hesitating? As my mount, you are more courageous. With your courage, if I hunted down a beast stronger than you, wouldn't you dare to eat it? When it comes to eating, it is said to be in the heart of the red flame golden beast. Eat. A little boy's voice came out. For eating, the red-flamed golden beast has no resistance at all. Okay, then go and catch the monster. Hearing this, the red-flamed golden beast shrank its neck. Is its owner holding his own, all right, to rinse it? Suyi laughed. This little guy's courage is really cute. However, I think you should still be thrown into the beast horde to experience it. This will help you grow. I don't need a coward-like mount. The red flame golden beast has a black line. I'm not afraid, it's just that the gap is there. If you can beat the past, you will be strong, but if you can't beat it, you have to go up to fight. That's stupid, I'm not stupid. The little boy's voice defended itself. It's okay to say it, then after the ginseng fruit is ready, I will reward you with one to see if you can make more progress. Hearing the ginseng fruit, the scarlet flame golden beast kept nodding. When one person and one beast were chatting, a large number of people came out. It seemed that the guys who came to listen to the class came out. Some people got the understanding, and some people came to watch the excitement. 200. The nature of all things is greedy, the fifth. Hongjun's disciples also sensed that something was wrong around them, and just as the 3,000 red dust guests left here, the beasts in the back mountain rushed up. However, Hongjun himself disappeared. After the people on the 7 futons realized it, they used their magical powers and left here. Nuwa was a disciple of Sage Hongjun, and she never appeared after being called away by Sage Hongjun. The beasts in the back mountain charged very fiercely. Hushan couldn't take it anymore. Senior brother Jagu, senior brother Tai, Haoshan can't take it anymore. Jagu looked at the bloody junior brother, and his heart was also very unbearable. Junior brother, you protect the master, and junior sister, I will go to the back mountain to help. Tu nodded. Eldest brother, be careful too. Jagu nodded, and then followed his disciples to support Haoshan. Tai was waiting at the door of Hongjun, and he didn't know what his master was doing. The mountain gate was about to be destroyed, and his master still didn't come out. Inside the house, Nuwa knelt on the ground. Nuwa, you are my most spiritual disciple. I am also very pleased that you can be recognized by the futon, but now as a teacher, 360 also wants to ask you something, can you answer me? Nuwa had a bad feeling in her heart, but she didn't ask much. The disciple has been taught by the master so far. No matter what the master wants, as long as the disciple can do it, it will be given to the master. Hongjun nodded and reached out to Nuwa's head. Then lend your teacher the opportunity to watch it. Nuwa's eyes widened. This was a chance for it, but she didn't expect her master to come and snatch it. Master, the secret must not be revealed. The chance that Nuwa got is also a very miraculous ability, but if such ability is handed over to others, it may become a scourge. The secret cannot be revealed, your secret is not given to you by the teacher. As he spoke, he grabbed Nuwa's head with his hand. He also wanted to get the chance in the futon, but when he got the 7 primordial purple chi, he had already consumed a lot of energy, and there was really no way to comprehend it. But he knew that this Hongmeng purple chi was a treasure that contained the heavenly secret Tao, and this time he opened the altar to teach the Dharma to open up the Dafa contained in these 7 futons. His own disciple got one, which he did not expect. This is also a lot more convenient. After getting the chance that his own disciple got, he can ask the other 6 what chance they got. Anyway, this chance is his. Granted, he came to ask, and didn't think there was anything wrong with doing it. Nuwa's painful struggle, the fate of heaven, is all set. Forced change would naturally lead to punishment from heaven. Just when Hongjun wanted to see the heavenly secret that Nuwa had obtained, a thunderstorm broke out in the sky to show punishment. With the power of Tianlei, Nuwa escaped. Tai Yi, who was waiting at the door, was dumbfounded. For no reason, how could his master's house be hit by lightning? Then I saw a flash of purple light, which was Nuwa's purple energy. What the hell happened? Tai Chi also chased after him. Hong Jun was hit by the thunder, and his body was charred black, but he was still not reconciled. You can surpass yourself as a saint. Hong Jun didn't care about his image, so he rushed out directly and quickly. Nuwa's skills were taught by him, how could he fail to catch up? Nuwa ran away desperately, but unexpectedly, the front mountain was surrounded by many beasts. Most of the 3,000 people who came here before were killed by these beasts. Roar! Roar! Nuwa stopped in front of her, looking at the large number of beasts. Her heart was also hairy, no wonder the weather has been very strange recently. From time to time, there is a fierce air coming out, which is the breath of these guys. Nuwa, what happened? Tai Yi Tight CCBG, who was chasing after Nuwa, rushed up. When Nuwa saw Tai Yi, she felt some security in her heart. The master wants to see my secret. Hearing this, Tai Yi's face is not very good looking. Senior sister, the back mountain and the front mountain are surrounded by beasts. It seems that it is for the master's opening altar this time. You should try to hide. The master knows what we are capable of, and he should be chasing after him soon. Come up, I'll help you cover for a while. Nuwa nodded and then walked down. Tai Yi looked at the fierce beast in front of him still tearing at the barrier, and his heart was very entangled. Hongjun's speed was very fast. As soon as Nuwa left, Hongjun arrived. Tai Yi, where's your senior sister? Seeing his master in a state of embarrassment, he should have been punished by heaven. It seems that what his senior sister said was not false. Master, senior sister disappeared after arriving here, and I can't find it either. Tai Yi saluted Hongjun, and he could only pretend to be confused here. Hongjun was so angry that he looked at the beast tied in front of him, but he didn't bother to care. Forget it if you don't know, look good here, I have something important. After speaking, Hongjun disappeared. Tai Yi's heart was also choked with sweat. He couldn't beat Hongjun, and now he was attacked by the enemy. If Hongjun was angry and threw him into the beast swarm, wouldn't he be courting death, and now it's best to pretend that he doesn't know anything. Wei. For his 3 disciples, Hongjun naturally knew it. With the magic formula in his hand, he found Nuwa's position. Baby girl, I am your master. I have raised you for so many years and want to see your secrets. If you don't give it, you are really worthy of your master. With that said, Hongjun accelerated his speed. Nuwa was already advancing at her fastest speed, but she also knew how great her master was. But Nuwa still couldn't understand why her master did this. Are you going to attack your own disciple just for a secret? The desire for profit is the foundation of nature, and I didn't expect that my master was such a despicable person. Nuwa couldn't help crying. She was raised by her master and has deep feelings for Hongjun, but this heavenly Tao is a very important existence. If she gave it to her master, she didn't know what would happen. Nua is in a dilemma on both sides. If it is changed to something else, even if it is given to the master, it is nothing, but she is doing this to be worthy of her own conscience and her true heart. Nua shed tears as she ran away. You scoundrel, I just want to see the secrets you got. Is this how you treat the master who raised you? Nua turned around and saw her master who was chasing after her. Master, this is different. The heavenly organ is involved in a lot of things. You can't just tell it and show it to you. Nua's eyes were hazy with tears. This was the first time she was so panicked since she was born.